This week in PlayStation, we're talking about God of War Ragnarok inching closer to being a reality. So, will we hear about it at Summer Game Fest? What Sony's next 12 months look like? And who'd we cast in the Horizon and God of War TV shows? We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's Blessing. That's Janet. I'm Greg. And you can get this show on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. There you can watch us record it live, get it ad-free, and get the weekly post show. If you have no bucks to toss our way, support us on the Epic Games Store, Fortnite, Rocket League, and more with the creator code KindaFunny. You can get PS I Love You XOXO for free with ads and without the post show on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, and podcast services around the globe. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Anonymous, Fargo Brady, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, First Responder ND, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Alex J. Sandoval, James Hastings, Casey Andrew. Today we're brought to you by MeUndies, Chime, and Credit Karma. But first, let's start with a PSN message from you guys. Now, of course, we ask this every week. You guys write in with a whole bunch of stuff. We thank you. We love you. We can't appreciate you much. Before we get to my dog Nick, 96 question. Blessing, what has been happening in your life? Because me and Janet are sitting here with Barrett. We're ready to do the show. We're having a great conversation, right, Janet?
Yep.
Lovely necklace. I didn't call that out yet, by the way. Lovely necklace.
Oh, thanks.
I like this stuff.
It's great necklace.
And we're hanging out. No, you don't talk yet. All right, we're hanging out, having a great time, and then you slack. Hey, I'm going to be late. It's like, no big deal. We're totally. I'll just read. I'll give you a dramatic reading. All right, 12:51. I'm running slightly late. I should be there by 1. I respond, okay, no problem. Then 12:59. 8 minutes later. Just a few more minutes. Sorry. And then Barrett, do you have you bring up a photo here of what looks to be a big gulp slushy orange spilled on your leg, your car seat, in between your car seat and the center console and onto the center console.
And
clump. Then in your passenger side, a bunch of Tide Pods, which we'll get to. We'll get to unpacking this entire fucking thing in a second.
Too,
but first we need to know what the fuck just happened to you.
For the record, the Tide is always there. The Tide I just keep in my passenger seat.
Right.
Why? So I don't forget it when I'm going out to do laundry.
You don't have any, don't have an unit. I relate. It's like
I don't have an in-unit washer and dryer, so I have to go out and I have to do my laundry. And with that,
which I feel like someone might.
Why would I ever bring my Tide upstairs?
Yeah, but it's visible. You should probably hide that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's something that goes in the trunk. Blessing, put it in the trunk.
Do I want to drive to the laundromat and then walk to the back, open up my trunk to bust out some Tide?
Here's the thing. I'm
not giving people rides all the time.
Exactly. It's pandemic still. We're not in the office yet. Who's in his car? There's the big gulp. There's the big gulp. 1/3 gone already. Still drinking it. Anyways, who's he giving a lift to that he's worried about all this time? Bring me back to what happened here. So you ran to 7-Eleven to get an orange slushie?
So leading up to the show, right? I messaged you guys at 12:50 because we usually for PS I Love You we want to join the Discord call at 12:50 because we try to go live on Patreon right at 1 o'clock, and that's the thing we've been recently doing, especially with this new iteration of PS I Love You. And so before the show, leading in, I found that I was doing a bad job of time management, where I knew I needed to eat before the show because if I didn't eat, then I would have the shakes, right? Those shakes when you're hungry, right? Shakes. I didn't want that halfway through PS I Love You. So I was like, okay, cool. I need to time it so that I can go to McDonald's and I can get a quick McDouble or something to put in my stomach so I can be ready for the show. And so that was the plan. I got to about 12:40 before I was like, fuck, I really need to go. And I was doing random shit. I was doing my hair. I was watching YouTube videos. I was watching a good interview of a rapper named Isaiah Rashad. It was very good. I was doing all that, and by 12:40, I was like, fuck, I need to go. I need to run. I need to get this McDonald's. So I get in my car. I drive to McDonald's. McDonald's for me is right down the street. And so I get there, and the drive-through line is insane. And I was like, damn, okay, I'm not going to have time to get McDonald's. Where can I go real quick that can get me food in my hand right now? And the answer was 7-Eleven. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go to 7-Eleven. Let's do it. I walk into 7-Eleven, and when you're in 7-Eleven, I feel like there's a vibe. There's an immediate vibe where it's like I can't just come here and get the pizza. I can't
You
just
don't come to 7-Eleven in beeline to what you want.
Exactly.
You gotta meander. You gotta walk.
You gotta
take it
look
all
around for a second. So I did like a quick.
You get your shit taken care of in 7. You go up there. You shamelessly be like, I want 2 slices of this weird pizza that is like weird, but not terrible, but still weird. And
I will say it was weird because I did stuff that pizza down, and I was planning on getting 1 slice. Ended up getting 3 slices.
Oh yeah,
because it was a 3 for 3.
I used to live like around the corner from a 7-Eleven, making minimum wage, working 20 hours a week. Like that was my life fuel for a couple of years. Was that 7-Eleven pizza, and it's fucking weird. But you go there, you proudly ask for it with the taquitos.
Taquitos, you gotta get the taquitos.
I almost got the taquitos. I was like, I was like, fuck.
The pepper jack cheese, chef's kiss. And you get the fuck out of there. You get the fuck
Jana,
out of there.
You need to come in here. Where are you with the 7-Eleven? Are you a meander? Or are you going to get exactly what you want to get out?
I probably would meander a bit because I almost never go. I cannot tell you the last time I've been to a 7-Eleven. I think, too, remember when they hit the 7-Eleven was a Quickie Mart for a hot second? They had that promotional. That was very cool. And, you know, the free Slurpee or Slushie or whatever the fuck day, like, on 7-Eleven, of course, like, that thing's so small that there's not really a point. But I do have a lot of love for the Big Gulp, which last time I got the Big Gulp, I got it with the Sprite. Like, I remember it, vivid memory, core memory. I went to a concert, and then afterwards, we went to 7-Eleven, and we all got Big Gulps, and I got the Sprite Big Gulp. I also, too, feel like, well, this is kind of a gross story, but, like, we used to go to Lala a lot, like Lollapalooza. And so we hit up like 7-Eleven and stuff. And I remember on the way home from one of them, and none of us like drank during Lollapalooza. You know, I was in high school at the time and my family just wasn't into like drinking like that. Also, it's so hot. Like it's kind of, I mean, people do drink, but it's a lot. You're like sweating. It's like, it's kind of intense. But on the train ride home, my brother's girlfriend at the time, now fiance, like wasn't feeling well. So she did have to like use the Big Gulp cup to, you know, not ruin the train cart and stuff. So yeah, the Big Gulp comes through a lot, but it gives, but it also takes, which today it took.
That's where my story takes a turn, where I did the meander thing, right? And it's 7-Eleven. This is at this point it is 12:46, to where I'm like, I have 4 minutes to get what I've decided will be a slice of pizza, and then get home and eat this pizza and sit down. And in my head, doing the head math, I was like, I'll get there by 12:52. That'll be acceptable. And so I do the quick lap because it's 7-Eleven. It's not Walmart, right? It takes 20 seconds to do the quick lap around 7-Eleven. And I feast my eyes on the Slurpee machine. And the Slurpee machine has updated its options since I was last there.
Wow.
It added a mango lemonade. And at that moment, I knew that there was no way I was leaving at 7-Eleven without getting a mango lemonade.
Sure.
And so that's what I did, right? I went to the front of the line, or I went to the line, right, for the register. Was waiting.
You just jumped the line. You're like, I'm sorry, I have a PlayStation podcast to record.
Like I need to go.
Oh my God, is that blessing out of Yo-Yo Jr.?
Right this way,
30 for 30?
There was one guy ahead of me in line, and when I tell you that this man took the longest I've ever seen somebody take at a 7-Eleven. They're ordering their taquitos, right? They're getting some hot dogs, and they're just taking their time. And it was at that moment where I texted you guys. I think it was 12:50, where I was like, guys, I'm going to be late for the podcast, because I was in line for 4 minutes behind this one person. Eventually, they finished. And that's when I asked for the pizza. She told me it was a 3 for 3. I can get 3 slices. I did that. And then I asked for a Slurpee cup, to which she says, no, you can just go back and get the Slurpee cup. And I was like, you guys didn't do this before. Before I had to ask for the Slurpee cup, and then you'd give it to me. And then I'd do it. Oh, is that a COVID thing? Is that why?
I think so, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
No. What? When was the last time you had to ask for the Slurpee cup?
The entire time I've been in San Francisco. Like ever since I started going to the 7-Eleven, and that was after COVID.
Huh.
So I think they put the cups behind the thing so people aren't like coughing or licking them or whatever.
Yeah, and that makes sense, because I've only gone to this. I've only gone to the 7-Eleven during the COVID era, and so that actually lines up. And so she's like, "No, get the cup. I'll scan it real quick, and then you can get your Slurpee." So I did that. Got in my car. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be late, but I'm not gonna be that late. You know, it's still gonna be good."
If I can time you out real quick, I really do appreciate that there's someone telling their friends the story why they're late, and they're like, "This guy in front of me got up. He wanted a pizza. Then they were going to do 3 slices. Then he wanted a Slurpee, but he didn't even have the Slurpee. I had to wait while he went and got the cup. He comes back."
Now, the guy behind me got their order done when I was going in to grab the cup real quick.
A quick question. At this point, did it cross your mind that maybe it would have been faster just to stay at the McDonald's?
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I was like, also, fuck, if I stayed in that drive-thru, it would have taken me a comparable amount of time.
Do you have the app, McDonald's app?
No, I don't. They asked me that every time.
You need to get the app. You're fucking up real bad not getting the app. Promise you, I bet my whole life that you would be like, this app.
Even at the drive-through, because I'm only ever at the drive-through.
Yes.
Well, you skip the drive-through. Yeah, you pull off in a little slot.
You can do a bunch of things. Like now, it just sounds like an ad, but like it's not an ad though. I don't know. I'm sure it could be if they wanted to. Like email somebody. Right. But yeah, the app's amazing because not only is a bunch of stuff really cheap and you get points really easily. You can punch in the order. You do have to be like on the premises to like say, when you say I'm here, they like make sure you're here with your like location, but you can go through the drive-through still and just tell them like your number and they already are processing your order and you just pick it up. Or you could go to like the little like, park and wait and they bring it out to you, or you could go in. You have like a bunch of options. So it's like, that's the way to go. And then also like, especially living in a major city, you'll probably get like, the fucking Giants win something, you get a free fry or some shit. Like I'm getting free shit all the time. Like, oh, the Dodgers won 6 nuggets. It's like 10 cents now. I'm like, great. Awesome. I care about sports now. It's like a must. If you go more than once a year, you need to have the app.
Okay. You've sold me. I'm going to get the app because they ask me that every single time. And I'm like, no, I told you, you know my voice. You know my voice, Stuart. Like we know each other.
Listen to the podcast.
I don't have the app. Stop asking me. But now I'm gonna get the app. It'll be a nice surprise for him. But yes, at this point I'm doing the head math. I get back in my car and I'm like, cool. I'm gonna get home by 12:57. I'm gonna be late, but I'm not gonna be too late, right? It's not gonna be unacceptably late. I feel like for us, 12:57, you're still starting the podcast by 1:01 because Barrett's a god. And so I get in my car, drive off, and I kid you not, at the first corner I turn, this big gulp cup just goes 180.
That's what chat was saying. They're like, I bet he took a corner too fast.
It wasn't even that fast though. I took that corner the way I take that corner every single time.
Maybe
it's
you're just always too fast.
The big gulp. Maybe I do take the
big gulp, but just wasn't ready for that quick turn.
The thing is, I didn't consider the size of the big gulp and how much weight would have been.
It's in the name. It's the big gulp.
Yeah, you didn't understand like what the momentum was going to do to the big gulp and how it's top heavy and all this stuff. I want to ask really. So we've got the splatter of big gulp. I need to wonder about what this looks like of what seems like a finger that ran through this dropped big gulp chunk right here. What happened here?
I don't know what that is. I guarantee
I had the one little like cocktail, or I have one. Blessing had like the one cocktail napkin, and he's like, no, this isn't gonna get it done.
So in my
this
head
ain't gonna get the job
was
done.
Like, shit. Took a beat, dragged his finger through it, and just licked it.
No, I didn't do that. But honestly, I appreciate that you went there because I would have done that. I was too upset. If I didn't have the podcast, if I wasn't like late for PSW, I probably would have done that because I was like, oh fuck it, I'll clean it up. Let me get a quick taste though before I go and get that.
Eat that top layer. That top layer hasn't touched anything. Layer.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was frantic. Oh wait, you know what I did do? So like when it fell, obviously the top fell. And it had Slurpee in there, and so I did scoop some back into the cup. If I'm being honest, like some of that Slurpee did, but like the top, it wasn't the dirty Slurpee. It was like the top Slurpee that was still good.
Blessing, don't talk to me about dirty Slurpee.
I feel like the big gulp's so big that you didn't need to do that. I also feel like that could have remained an inside thought, and we would have been none the wiser. I think that was part of the cleaning process. It was a bold share. There's no way in hell I would fucking scoop that thing unless I was going to throw out the whole thing. I would not scoop it back in there. No, hell no.
No.
No,
I would admit it at least.
You're gonna get seat residue. You have like booty flakes in the Slurpee now.
I did get. It wasn't like.
I mean, they're your booty flakes because it's your car.
I didn't scrape the seat. It was most of the Slurpee that was already like at the top.
Scientifically speaking, there are ass particles in that Slurpee now.
Not at all. No.
Oh no, she's right.
Yep.
As long as they're mine,
I mean, yeah, but like, I don't know.
One way to look at it, sure. Yeah. Jesus Christ, I don't know. In the chat on the live for the Trogs watching on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, Royal Martin says, this is another thing to unpack about the photo if you want to put it back up. Or Barrett. Bless was in 7-Eleven dressed like his old WWE 2K22 character. Because he got those red pants on from that, that's that esport league. What was
Team
that?
Liquid.
Team Liquid, funny. Right?
Yeah.
I can see it. For sure. PSN message is meant to be from you. The audience is a warm up. We're warmed up. We'll go right to topic of the show. My dog Nick's 96 question can actually work when we get to the news later. So instead, we're going to go to topic of the show. If you didn't hear, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a Horizon show. we're getting a God of War show, and we're getting a Gran Turismo show. We go to Ryan Dinsdale at IGN, who writes, 3 major PlayStation franchises are getting TV adaptations, with Horizon going to Netflix, God of War to Amazon, and Gran Turismo to a currently unannounced platform or network. Revealed in an investor briefing on May 26th and confirmed by industry insiders, including David Gibson on Twitter, Sony president Jim Ryan revealed during a Q&A the company was expanding its entertainment adaptations even further. The long-rumored God of War series and other shows will join PlayStation exclusives, including Last of Us, Uncharted, and Ghost of Tsushima, in being adapted to other media, though there's no inclination as to when these series will be released. There was also a Hollywood Reporter thing that popped in saying that there's going to be 10 more PlayStation titles in various stages of development for film and TV. There are 10 more on top of Ghost, Last of Us, Twisted Metal, and now, of course, Horizon. I want to know, of course, everyone's excitement level for this. But more importantly, we need to cast these shows, ladies and gentlemen. All right. You can go to Kinda Funny Games Daily. We talk about it there. We're going to talk about it here a bit. But we need to cast God of War. We need to cast the Horizon show. But Janet, I will start with you. Horizon over on Netflix, God of War on Amazon. Are you interested?
Mildly. I'm not like as excited, just because generally adaptations, I'm a little bit more tempered when it comes to hype for those. But I guess I'd have to lean on the Horizon one just because I like Netflix more as a platform. I still have not hit up Amazon's video service. Like, I know everyone says there's some like really fire shows on there. That's what people say. They're like, no, like it's good. Like, trust me. And I'm like, okay, you know, it's the
what do they got? Fleabag. I like Fleabag.
Fleabag, The Boys.
Boys, yeah, of course.
The cartoon,
Netflix, or I'm Invincible.
Invincible. Thank you.
It'd be really next level if they had Netflix on there. But yeah, so I guess in that regard, I'm a little bit more interested in Horizon. I also think like Horizon has a lot, not that God of War doesn't have a lot of story, because obviously it's very story driven, but like I think there's a lot of angles that you can take in Horizon by way of like how side questy and like layered that show is in terms of the game is in terms of like all the different tribes and groups and like inner politics and workings and things like that. So yeah, but I mean, I think I'd at least watch them just to see, you know, what their take is on it. I think that's going to be, seeing the execution is interesting to me, but I'm not exactly married to, oh, these shows are going to be fantastic.
Blessing, I feel like we come around all the time, whether it be Games Daily or whether it be PS I Love You, and we say like, okay, whatever. Like, does this do anything for you from a top level or just an announcement level?
From a top level, my approach to video game adaptations in movies and TV usually is that I don't think they need to happen. Like, you know, we've had the history of video game movies being terrible, right? And video game TV being pretty terrible for the most part. And I think in recent years, that stuff has gotten better and better. But I've always been of the mind that if video games are different from like comics and books and stuff, where like video games have cutscenes, video games have performers attached to them, right? Like Death Stranding has Norman Reedus as an actor that's leading in that game, right? Like how much of these games do we really need retold as TV or movies for a medium that is already so cinematic? It feels a lot of the time not needed. That said, for the way that PlayStation is approaching it, like I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I think what turned me was the Last of Us HBO stuff, and how with updates of that and castings of that, and how the way they're treating it seems like it's going to be authentic to that game and that universe. Like that is one that I have come around to actually being genuinely excited for. Like I can't wait for that, especially knowing that is HBO, right? Oh, yeah. Now that they're like, Last of Us, yeah, they're peppering them all around. So now I'm starting to mix them up. But HBO Max probably right now is my favorite streaming app in terms of TV. I'm on HBO Max more than I'm on Netflix at this point. And
you watch the Staircase?
No, I'm not seeing Staircase. Is it good?
Staircase is still good, yeah.
All right, I'll add that. I just finished Ozark, and so I'm looking for something new to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Last of Us being in their hands is a thing that I'm looking forward to, because I like a lot what HBO does with their original stuff. Them going like the Marvel Games route, and the way that we talk about Marvel Games giving Spider-Man to Insomniac and giving Avengers to Crystal Dynamic, or giving different properties, Guardians of the Galaxy to Eidos, right? Giving different properties to different developers and publishers. Them PlayStation going at a similar route and going, hey, Netflix, you get Horizon. Hey, Amazon, you get God of War. Hey, HBO, you get Last of Us.
Twisted Metal on Peacock too, don't forget.
Twisted Metal on Peacock, yeah. And Uncharted going the movie route. I think they are diversifying enough to where I think you're gonna have some duds and you're gonna have some failures, but at the same time, you're gonna have some
metal on Peacock. Don't forget.
Oh my
I'm actually looking forward to. Like, I think that's gonna be a fun time if they nail the things about it that they need to nail. Mainly if they lean into the ridiculousness of it and the comedy of it, I think there's a chance that that's actually really good and really fun time.
I love Anthony Mackie so much, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know if they can lean into it enough to make it good.
Don't think so?
I don't know. We'll see.
He has the comedic chops. Like, I feel like he's not been given.
This is not. No, I am not indicting Anthony Mackie. Okay. I know the man's talent.
But Greg, also Thomas Hayden Church, Sandman from Spider-Man 3.
Sandman's in it.
Come on, man.
Like as we've been learning more about it, I have been getting more curious and actually excited to see how this stuff pans out, especially with Horizon, which, you know, my approach to a lot of this stuff is that for games that are like The Last of Us and God of War, where it is we associate a story and cutscenes and memorable moments with these things, Horizon, even though it is very narrative and even though it is driven by Aloy's story, there's enough of a world there that you can play around with. And I'm not going to sit there being like, oh, you didn't do this scene. Oh, you missed this moment. Oh, you didn't do this right. Where a Horizon series could legit be them just exploring the world of Horizon and talking to different characters, introducing new characters, like referencing side quests or creating new stuff. You have so much you can do in that world that in particular, I'm very excited to see. Stuff like God of War, you know, I'm not doubtful of because I think it's in good hands. But that's stuff that I'm less antsy to see. Like, I wouldn't have picked God of War. That said, I'm looking forward to it as well. I think all this stuff is being treated well so far.
Well, we'll start with Horizon. I went here and I picked 5 characters from Horizon that I think are core characters. Clearly, there are more. Don't take offense that your favorites weren't included. But I figured these would be the ones we would cast. We'll start from the bottom of the list and move to the top. Janet, are you ready? You're going to be first.
Sure.
Dirtbag Ted Faro.
Ethan Hawke.
Ooh.
Do I have to expand, or are we just like saying names?
I mean, I think you expand a bit, but I mean, coming off of Moon Knight, Ethan Hawke would be a fucking dynamite choice.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, I'll expand on this one a little bit because when we talked about this for topic of the show, I'm like, all right, y'all, I don't know anybody. Like, and legitimately, it's like one of my biggest gaps, like actors and just like having a sense of the space.
Sure.
But Ethan Hawke was one of the few ones that I'm like, oh, this is an actor that I actually do know really well, that resonates with me. You know, I loved him in the Before series, which is probably one of my earlier introductions to Ethan Hawke's work. And then
Should I watch the Before series? I wanted Tim to do an interview, but he won't do it.
Yes, yeah, I'll do it. If you're gonna do an interview, I'll let me.
No, Tim said he will not do interviews.
Oh, he won't do it.
Yeah, I know. He's a coward.
Okay. If you guys ever are going to do one, I would love to review those. Those movies are fantastic. I think you will probably end up crying though, because you are prone to crying, so you probably will cry. But they're really good. And has Jen seen them? Because you guys should watch them together. If you watch them together, they're beautiful films. I love all.
Are they free anywhere? Or I gotta get them on Amazon Prime.
I think you gotta get them. I think you gotta pay for them. Yeah, no. I think I have the DVD. Again, when I go to San Francisco, I'll just bring you guys all this shit that I don't want. I actually do want the DVD still, and I had them at some point. Maybe I got rid of them. I don't know, but yeah, great series. And then Moon Knight. I mean, so the thing with Ethan Hawke though is he is a little bit older than who Ted Faro is in my mind. But you know, that's not necessarily like the reason not to cast him. I think he did a great job in Moon Knight, playing kind of this knowledgeable pseudo, like, you know, depending on your perspective, you could argue has the right intention / kind of a jerk / kind of nice / you know, the sort of like a slippery character, you know, I feel like it's who he was in Moon Knight. And I think Ted Faro is absolutely that kind of character. 100%. So yeah, I'd love Ethan Hawke in this role.
That's a great pick.
That's a really good one. I didn't think Ethan Hawke, and now I'm jealous that I didn't, because I think that.
Who'd you go for perfectly.
I went for Adam Scott. And for folks who listen to Severance. a lot of kind of fun, Severance. He played the devil in The Good Place. And for folks who've been listening to a lot of kind of funny content, right? A few weeks ago, there was a Games Daily where I was talking about how much I mix up Ben Schwartz and Adam Scott. And when I tell you that I wrote in Ben Schwartz for a good 30 seconds into this document before I was like, that's not who I'm thinking of, is it? That is not Adam Scott. But yeah, Adam Scott I picked because I think for the role of Ted Faro, you want somebody who I think can pull off the dramatic TV side of it, but then also play the asshole in like an over-the-top and comedic way. And I think Adam Scott is a dude that has the range to do both, where in the dramatic moments where you want a dramatic Ted Faro to, because you imagine in a TV show, they probably expand on that character and give them more to do. I think you want a Ted Faro that can be in like his business bag and be like no, man, I am this asshole CEO. I forget if he was a CEO or if he was another position. I can be an asshole tech dude, tech broy, like, being strategic about the way I place myself and all that stuff, but then also just being a fucking idiot in terms of like him being like very brash and very like, oh yeah, I got the stuff, I'm the dude, I'm gonna make myself a god type personality type persona, right? I think Adam Scott, between what he's done in like his serious stuff in Severance and him like actually being a really good dramatic actor, but then also those comedic roles that he's done as well, right? Like being the devil in The Good Place, the devil, or when he plays that character, like he is an asshole. Like he is a dick in that role, and I feel like that fits the Ted Farrow personality really well. So I think he'd be able to pull it off, and also he has the right, I think, age and look for it. Like when I think of Ted Farrow, I think an Adam Scott type would work for that.
Excellent, an excellent pick. See, I understand what you're doing to trying to balance it, but I think for his side character as Ted Farrow is going to be in, spoilers for Horizon Zero Dawn, for the first time around, right? He's in audio logs and stuff for the second game. I think you just lean into him being a jerk, and that's why I picked Max Greenfield from New Girl. Schmidt, if you ever watch New Girl, who he's of course awesome on New Girl and super like nice and stuff, but to see him turn that corner and just be a fucking tech bro douchebag that I think Ted Farrow would be, I think that would work really well for him. Like I could see him carrying it in. I don't know if he's going to have, I don't know how much you get as you flash back to other stuff, how much range you want to give him and stuff like that. But you can totally see him doing the, hey, where Elizabeth, and like taking credit for it and fucking being a weirdo to her like he is in the games or whatever. I could see that, Janet.
Yeah. He was in the stock market movie. What was that one called?
Wolf of Wall Street.
The actual like stock market crash in 2008. Shit, it also had like Christian Bale and stuff like that.
Moneyball.
No, that's about the Oakland A's.
That's like baseball gambling, right?
Yeah, he played like a
League of Their Own.
God damn it. He's in that movie and he essentially
How do we get Greg to stop shouting movie title?
Big Short. Thank you, Chad. Jesus Christ. He's in The Big Short and he essentially plays like the Wall Street version of like douchey tech bro. So like, he could 100% do that.
Okay.
Did anybody else here watch The Good Place, by the way?
Yes.
No, but it has a character with my name in it.
Oh, yeah, it does have a character in it. And she's one of my favorite characters, too. Barry, am I right that Adam Scott is the devil? Or is that like a reveal or something?
He's not the devil. That is a reveal that he is from
The Bad Place.
No, he's from The Good Place. Right? Oh, no. It's complicated, but
there's a lot of spoilers.
He is a demon. He's
a demon for sure.
He's I don't know if we actually ever meet the like quote unquote devil in that show.
Okay.
Here's a quick question about The Good Place. Is it worth watching now? Because I think I heard some people say they didn't like sort of the last couple seasons or something. Maybe I'm making that up.
Oh,
but
no,
I feel like people.
I thought it.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The ending legitimately is like I think one of the best. Endings.
So it's just it's just good.
There's a penultimate. The penultimate episode, like before, like they really wrap things up, like it fucking hits you in the gut.
Dude,
so many
The Good
ways.
Place is so good that it made me reframe the way I think about like life and morality in a lot of ways. Like it is, and I don't want to claim that it's like that deep, but it is at the same time. Like it doesn't portray itself as like pretentious or like being like super deep or super like a smart show. The way that even a Community is like, oh, we're a smart ass show. Good Place doesn't do that, but it just has so much heart. And it talks about like its subject matter with such authenticity that it's so hard for that show not to hit, at least for me.
The next person I put on our list here isn't a person at all. I put Gaia. Gaia. When we're talking to her, she's talking about all the different things. We need a character there, an actor there to carry it. And what I put down immediately was Angela Bassett.
That was what I was going to put down. Really and I was like, I couldn't think of anybody better. So I was like, I just left it blank. I'm like, I can't do it now.
She needs no introduction, I would think, ladies and gentlemen. But if you need, of course, I think for me at least, and I'm old obviously, but when I was a kid, I remember her really like exploding with the Tina Turner movie. I'm sure she did a million other things that I'm not aware of. But then more recently, Black Panther. Obviously, she was in that, and people loved her in that. But I think she would kill this. What? Oh, right. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, right. I'm totally missing it at the end. Sorry. I forget about that. Fuck. So underused. Criminally fucking underused in Forbidden West. So good. Criminally underused. And that's the thing. Give her a shot here. Let her be Gaia.
I think that's a really good pick. My pick is because like that probably would have been my first one. The thing I started thinking about regarding this role was like who's somebody that would work as that like as an AI role, right? But then also somebody who is supposed to kind of be like this like like mother of the universe kind of or mother of the planet type figure, right? Like who kind of fits like this all encompassing like godlike persona, right? That
Mother
kind
Earth.
of that presence, that Mother Earth presence. And my mind went to Denai Guerrera from also from Black Panther and then also from Walking Dead, right? The character, the actress who plays Michonne.
Michonne.
Yeah. I feel like for probably a similar reasons as Angela Bassett, honestly, like she kind of has that presence to her that I feel like would be able to nail that role.
What I love about a lot of people now, not a lot of people, but that dude Cam and Avery Williams are like, wouldn't Angela Bassett play Regalia? No. By the time we get to whatever season Regalia's popping up in and they want to go toe to toe with Aloy, like I love Angela Bassett. I think Angela Bassett would be the first to tell you she ain't going to get out there and be like rolling around hand to hand fist combat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, I definitely see her much more as the motherly, she can sit there and deliver and she is Mother Earth kind of thing. And that's honestly
and also,
where
like,
but
I was just gonna say like the wisdom too, I think like that kind of knowledgeable, like I think she'd carry that character really well. And I think just because like to Chat's point, like just because you were cast as a voice actor for like one role, I don't think it's the wildest thing to think that you could play a different role in a different like adaptation of the thing. If anything, it speaks to her already having like familiarity with the franchise from having
that dude. Cam says, I know, too confusing though. Lol. Were you confused when fucking Nolan North talked to goddamn Tom Holland on the beach? Where you're like, there's two Drakes. I don't know what I'm seeing.
The people who didn't play the game who are just gonna watch this aren't gonna be fucking confused. They're gonna be like, yeah.
Chat, do me a favor. If you're live watching right now on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, go ahead and boo that dude Cam. Boo this man. Boo. I'm doing it myself. You can all do it. It's easy. You just boo him off the stage.
Not that we had to belabor it, but also like Regalia wasn't that memorable of a charter. Like I don't think anybody,
because she was underused.
Yeah, because she was underused, right? That's
what would be dope is if they do a second season and it's Forbidden West or whatever. If they just continue the story on, I could see Michonne's actress whose name's escaping me. What was it?
Denai Guerrera.
Denai, yeah. I could see her being Regalia. That'd be dope as fuck.
Oh yeah, that
have her fight and you go square out there. Everybody's booing. Good job, everybody. I'm proud of y'all booing.
The thing is, like, I don't even know if you give Regalia, unless you expand her character more. I don't know if you give her to a major actor, right?
Oh, I think you would though.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you would. I think they would do. I think a lot of things would be done differently if you were to turn this. And that's what gets me so interested about the Last of Us TV show. Is that I've said from basically the jump when it was the guy from Chernobyl and it was Neil working on it, and then the cast they've done. I'm like, I think that thing's gonna be fucking awesome. And my hope is that it isn't just season 1 is them getting it's just the game. Like, I hope they really expand it and it like goes to different places and it goes longer and it goes down threads and story beats we didn't see in the game. And I think you let that shit breathe. And I think if you were to do Horizon right and let it breathe and really want it to be that it's going to go on for multiple seasons and go on a lot of different things, I think Regalia would be such a fucking dope character, especially to get like, do the thing where, you the viewer don't know who it is. She gets introduced. We're seeing it all from her perspective in an entire episode until like you see where she's going to slam into Aloy's story and where we're going to go with that. I think that could be hell. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that because in the way that they handled a lot of the villain characters in Horizon Forbidden West, like they had a little bit of the Spider-Man 3 issue. Not that like Horizon Forbidden West is Spider-Man 3 in any regards, but in the issue of like, there's not really a main villain. Like it's too many different forces to deal with between Regalia and then Silence, who I feel like was there and then not there and then like is there again, right? And then the other characters that they introduced in the game. I feel like it was a lot of like inconsistency in terms of like, okay, who's the bad guy of this season? And I think if you're gonna turn into a TV show, you could do a really good job of like, having that reveal of like season 2, all of a sudden Regalia is introduced or maybe at the end of season 1, like post credit, it is like Regalia is fucking taking over the Forbidden West and Aloy being like, Forbidden West, like we're not supposed to go there because it's forbidden.
It's forbidden. It's in the name.
It's in the name.
To go there. And Mr. Hawks 182 in the chat says, how much of the show, if any, takes place during the Pharaoh Plague? Again, I think there's so much room for that, right? Especially when we get to who we're casting as Aloy / Elizabeth, right? Like to have those flashbacks that are full-blown episodes of what it was like for the fall of humanity when that's finally revealed. I think that'll be dope as hell.
Do you want the flashback episodes? I feel like flashback episodes rarely work out.
Oh, I think it'll be cool. Like again, be a normal viewer. Like we always talk about with like one of the things for Forbidden West. a drawback was that there wasn't the big reveal that it was like all on our planet kind of thing. Imagine being a viewer and you get to that point where it was like, oh shit, wait, this was like the humanity you knew, and now then that's like the cliffhanger of an episode, and then the next episode picks up with whatever the fuck's going on back there.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think flashbacks can totally work, especially if they look towards taking a more unconventional narrative structure, which I would also argue Horizon as the game has a lightly unconventional narrative structure in that there are like a lot of flashbacks, or like they do the classic opening and the jump ahead and then looking. I mean, the flashbacks are more integrated so that you don't consider them flashbacks because they're through holograms or audio logs, or I mean, even the puzzle of overlaying an area onto like the modern world is almost a form of a quick flashback. It's just that we're not totally taken out of where we currently are. So I think they can play with that timing a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be full on flashback episodes, but I think they can lean into some elements of that, because that's I think a big motif of the game is going across a land that has existed before in an earlier time in a very different way, and how those things impacted what we're seeing today, and sort of almost like paying for the sins of time past, but trying not to repeat history. Like, I think it's all it's a game that's very much about time.
I do think that might be the challenge with it, and like I could see it going either way, because for Horizon, Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West tell that story in a way that I would say only video games can, where it is about the logs. It is about you're exploring through a level and you are scanning a thing, and then you're listening to people talk, or you are watching a hologram, right? Or you're reading a diary. You can do that in a TV show, but I feel like that's rarely a thing that
you just see it more, right? Yeah, flashbacks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like, you want to show more than tell, but also I do think that for me with Horizon, I like that we've not really gotten flashbacks in Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, because I think it does make you think about our present, right? In like a historic context of, oh, this is far gone. Like, we don't know how these people lived, or what this Earth looked like, or like what it was like on the verge of fall. We are experiencing Earth as history, and we are like really on the level of like the modern survivors of the Earth, right? With the TV show, they're gonna have to figure out, like, if they want to go either way of, all right, cool, let's keep people in the present, let's keep people with Aloy and the survivors, right? And like figure out how to tell the story of the past in different ways, or just flashback. Because I do like the idea of it being like, cool, here's a reveal, boom, you're in Colorado, boom, next episode is all about Elizabeth Sobeck and what her plans were and all that stuff. Like, I do think there are things you can do there, but they are gonna have to figure some shit out with it.
Blessing, who you cast in Silence?
See, this is an interesting one, because I think there's an obvious answer. But I wanted to put
Lance Reddick. We're just doing it. Let him just be the character again.
Yeah, I think that is the obvious answer, because I do think, like, unlike Angela Bassett, like, I think Lance Reddick as an actor would still fit that role. Like, I feel like he's so iconic for it, and that is one where, not that people will get confused in the theater, but if you're a Horizon fan and you go to the theater and you see Lance Reddick, you're like, oh, that's Silence. I think he embodies that role really well, and that role is really well written for him. On the other hand, right, if I wanted to get more creative with it, I'm throwing out Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix. But even more recently, and this would be an interesting one for me to reference, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I feel like that character in Ant-Man and the Wasp that Lawrence Fishburne plays is basically Silence. Like, it's halfway Silence, just in terms of like
what?
What was his character in Ant-Man and the Wasp? Like the ghost dad?
Who he was? Totally forgettable.
Yeah.
You said that, I was like, he was in. Oh, right, he was the fucking.
Yeah. And this is me saying he was like memorable in that movie. This is more so me saying, like, he played the smart, like, scientist dude that was also like deceitful, and also like had shit that he's keeping to himself and being an asshole, right? And that's who Silence is.
It was pretty much just, I get where you're going.
And I feel like Lawrence Fishburne could do that, right? I feel like given Horizon, he would have more to work with, just in terms of character and in terms of writing. Because, like, I don't blame Lawrence Fishburne for the fact that character was forgettable. I just blame the writing for that character. I do think Lawrence Fishburne would do a good job of playing
great Perry White. He could be a great Silence. I agree.
Yeah. Is Perry White the name of his character?
No, Perry White is him in Man of Steel, or the Snyderverse.
Oh.
Clark Kent's boss, Lois Lane's boss.
I feel like that's even more forgettable.
You're a fucking idiot.
No, Perry White is more memorable than
you think his appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
You think his appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp is more memorable than him being Perry White in 2 DCEU films?
I think both of you are wrong. I think they're equally forgettable.
Oh, you're batshit crazy.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is better than both
I want us to put
I'm not swinging on that. Right. I'm not biting on that. That's bait. I'm not making that argument. He had way more screen time combined. Is what I'm saying.
I want us.
Nobody cares about Clark Kent versus the Batman.
I want us to put a poll that gives no actual answer, just out of context of which movie was Lawrence Fishburne actually in, and you put the Superman movie and you put the Ant-Man movie.
No.
That's where you're gonna get your answer, because people are gonna be when posed that question, people are gonna be convinced, oh, he was only in one of those, wasn't he?
I understand.
The answer to be Ant-Man.
That's the kind of troll poll because it's like wrong. You know what I mean? It's like when people are like, which one tastes different? They're all 7-Up, and it's like no one likes that guy who made them all 7-Up.
Hold on, I'm logging into the KindaFunny vids Twitter here, because I want it just to be in again, because I was gonna tweet it, but obviously I'll skew it and people will just dunk on. Well, people are gonna dunk on me no matter what, because they know this is somehow related to me. I'm bringing up fucking Batman v Superman, but I'm saying we'll make it as impartial as possible for this. Janet, while we work on this, who's your pick?
Yeah. So first of all, this got like really fast for no reason. But I went with Omar Epps, who like I know mostly from House personally. Sure. And I think just like sort of when I think of Silence, I think of a character that is knowledgeable, but also kind of biting. Actually, very biting. Silence is super sassy. Silence is a fucking dick. And yeah, I think Omar Epps could play that character. Not that his character was that in House necessarily, but I think most, if not in some ways all of the characters in House had a layer of edge to them by necessity because they worked with House, who is kind of an ass. So I think it could work in that regard. And kind of that also that sort of Silence has a bit of a calm presence too, like a calm power to him. And I think Omar Epps' character, at least like in House, kind of had a little bit of like that element to it. But yeah, that's who I went with. So yellow.
Greg, what's this poll looking like?
It's looking like I'm trying to make it all, because I want to make sure I'm gonna read it to everybody before I go.
Okay. I want to hear the reading. But no, I think Omar Epps is a good
or something.
Oh yeah. He's great.
Struggles.
Omar Epps is awesome in everything I've ever seen him in. All right, so I'm gonna do it for. I said 2 hours. I'll do it for just 1 hour, so we finish up before we go. And here's how I've worded it: more memorable Lawrence Fishburne performance, Man of Steel / Batman v Superman, because I'm talking about the Snyderverse. Or Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I think just say which was the more memorable. It's like not that different. But
which was the more memorable?
Actually, I don't like it. Read it all the way through.
See, that sounds like it's like who he acted. Like, what character did he act better? Which
more
that's not
memorable.
my argument.
Lawrence Fishburne performance. Well, that was my argument. That's he's more known for that, and you were like, no,
not known, because I think he's more known for Ant-Man than Batman v Superman, but I think he puts on a better performance in Batman v Superman.
Is Lawrence Fishburne
what's the argument here?
No. Say it again.
Is Lawrence Fishburne more known for? Is Lawrence Fishburne? It's one of those where you've redone the tweet so many times. There's just like weird verbs hanging around. Is Lawrence Fishburne more known for Man of Steel / Batman v Superman, Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I think you still need. Which is Lawrence Fishburne most known for? And then colon.
Which is Lawrence Fishburne most known for?
More known for.
More known for, yeah.
That's what I had originally.
Because if you put most, people are going to respond Matrix.
They're like, it's neither.
Matrix. Where's the Matrix option? No, if you haven't noticed, everybody on Twitter is a fucking moron. They're going to say that no matter what.
Yes.
And I'm one of those people. Like, what about Matrix?
At least you have done your due diligence. I mean, if you really want to get ahead of that, you can say, not arguing these are his most memorable ones, just between these two. If you want to get ahead of it,
because that's what a poll indicates. People are so stupid when they do that.
You don't need to do that, but you could do that.
All right, which is Lawrence Fishburne more known for? Man of Steel / Batman v Superman, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 1 hour.
Sounds like such a ridiculous question. I love it though. I would say roll with it.
It is gone.
My favorite toxic Twitter poll was blessing your what's more memorable, and it was like Rosebud or what was that?
Oh yeah, what's the better twist? It was Rosebud or Hail Hydra.
That was like
we put Jared Petty into the ground for that one.
That was the greatest toxic poll of all time. People got really mad at me for my response to that as well. That shit was so funny. I was like,
I like Citizen Kane.
I'm like, you don't have to pretend to like Citizen Kane, y'all. This isn't fucking intro to film studies. It's okay.
That's where I watched Citizen Kane.
Me too.
For Ross, let's move on to Ross. We still have a whole nother show to cast. Let's move on to Ross. All right.
I feel like things took a turn.
For me, I'll let you in where I originally went. I said Rost. Who did I want to cast there? Because like what I like about this is like when I went to Gaia, I clear my mind a motherly figure. Who would I put in there? Rost, I went fatherly figure. You're gonna laugh because he's mainly known for comedic stuff, and he's not my pick, but it's who I originally put there. I originally put John C. Reilly because I just watched We Need to Talk About Kevin, and he was like a really good dad in it. It's like I was looking for a good dad in this where I think he could do it. But then I thought a little bit more about it and I wanted a little bit more of a harder edge to it. And I went with Don Lee, who is Gilgamesh in Eternals. I knew him from Train to Busan, where he's badass in that. I think he could be a fucking awesome outsider. You know what I mean? Aloy comes around, he adopts her kind of thing, trains her. I think that could be dope. And Roger Poconi says John C. Reilly is amazing in Winning Time. I haven't watched that yet, but look at Don Lee there.
It's so hard not to think of John C. Reilly and think like Step Brothers.
Of course, I know, totally, I get it, 100%, I know. And then like Ricky Bobby and all that stuff, So that's why I was like, you know what, he's not the right call, but I do love him.
He's done so much since that era, though. Like,
but he was so iconic in those roles.
Yeah, I mean, but like. When you saw him in Guardians, were you like, whoa, he's doing like a normal role? Like, what? Like, yeah, he did a good job. I don't know.
But like, that's still Guardians, right? Guardians is still a comedy. I feel like if you're making a dramatic Horizon Zero Dawn, like, not that he couldn't pull it off, because I think he has the acting chops for it, but I do think that as an audience member, like, you got to think of like, okay, what are people going to think as soon as they see John C. Reilly's face? And for me, I'm laughing. I'm going to be like, oh man, that's that funny guy. And then I'll continue watching and go, oh, he's doing a great job. But I feel like there is that like initial response of like, is that John C. Reilly? Is he playing Rost?
Janet,
it's fair.
Who you casting?
I had Gerard Butler, but I feel like he has too much edge. Probably, I feel like he's not. But I think he's a great actor, so I feel like he could add that soft layer. And I feel like Ross' character definitely. He has a little bit of edge, but he's just overall nicer, like in terms of like video game father figures and like, how Kratos is like almost all edge and he's like learning to soften. I feel like Ross is a pretty typically like stereotypically loving father figure who just kind of like the edgiest thing he did was sort of say like, hey, our relationship kind of ends here. You have to go off and spoilers for the first like 10 minutes of the first Horizon game. But yeah, so that's who I went with, because I think he has like the sort of, when I picture those training scenes, I could see him kind of doing like those elements, and obviously like the physicality aspect of it. Like he's played 300, all that, like plenty of roles that have that bit of grit to it. So yeah, and he kind of looks dad-like for some reason. He kind of reminds me of Rust too. I feel like Rust has that like a bunch of facial hair and like, he's like, has warm clothes on and things. So,
well, Gerard Butler, I obviously asked the audience to write in on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames for their casting. Gerard came up, Ryan Paula Higgins and a whole bunch of other people cast him as Kratos, right? Gerard Butler, this is Ryan. Gerard Butler's Kratos is the casting I always believed would be perfect. Go back and watch him as King Leonidas in 300. He would suit being Kratos. His angry Scottish accent shouting boy would be perfection.
Yeah,
boy, so he's popping up all over the place. Who do you want here, Bless?
So I honestly couldn't think of a really great answer. The one person that came to mind for me was Mads Mikkelsen, and I think that's probably because I've been playing Death Stranding.
Yeah, and I just had him with the stuff down his face, like the little rain. What is it called? You know what it's called because you've been playing. What is it?
The rain?
Like the old black
Timefall. The
Timefall, yeah. That's like all I can picture when I hear Mads Mikkelsen.
But. Yeah, but I do think that he could play a really good father figure, right? Like lean into like I know he's known for a lot of action stuff and a lot of like hard roles, right? But like I think you could lean into some of the tender side that you see in Death Stranding. Lean into that a little bit, and then also like, Ross is a character he's not gonna be around for long. Spend the big bucks on Ross.
He could appear more if they do, depending on how they want to structure it. But yes,
there can be flashbacks. Like they've done stuff like that in Horizon. Even Horizon Forbidden West has some stuff like that. But yeah, like I think he's gonna be around for a short time. Spend the big bucks and have him be like the heart and soul of it, right? Like have him have a really good first 2 episodes to really ground who Aloy is as a character, and then off him.
And they just fucking dump his ass.
I will say when I first played Horizon, I spent that entire first like 10 minutes being like, this man gonna die, and everyone's like, why do you want him? And my chat was very good, not spoiling the game, but they were like, why do you want him to die? Like, he's fine. I'm like, no, he's got like dead dad written all over him. And then of course, sure enough, I was like, see, y'all trying to gaslight me to think this man's alive.
And not as like so much a fan casting, but just like someone I predict that they will probably look at. Who's Dad Stark in the first season of Game of Thrones?
Ned
Stark. Who's that?
Yeah. The fucking
Sean Bean.
Lucy James is screaming at me from another reality.
Sean Bean, who's from also a bunch of other stuff.
Mission Impossible. And
he famously gets cast in things where he is guaranteed to die, and so and he looks kind of that part, and so like I imagine Sean Bean is going to actually be considered for this role.
Okay,
that'd be a cool one.
Then we come to the big role, Aloy / Elizabeth. Who are you casting? Janet Garcia.
I am casting Rose Leslie from Game of Thrones. I feel like, no, I do think this was kind of, I think so. I wasn't that heavy into Game of Thrones. Like I just watched it off to the side, says it happened around me kind of thing. This is kind of also that classic thing where I don't think you necessarily need to cast like a badass redheaded actress, but like it helps. And I think, I mean, she has a lot of those, like her character in Game of Thrones has a lot of those elements of
looks so much like Aloy, yeah.
The combat, the grit, like, you know, and I think Aloy's an interesting character because I would be very curious to see what does her TV adaptation look like, because we're always kind of complaining that Aloy doesn't quite, you know, we don't see more of the inner workings. But I think Rose could pull off either version, whether they choose to go more traditional and kind of have her be a bit detached classic hero, or whether they want to delve into the more, I think, like intimate aspects that we've kind of talked about in the show, wanting to see more from Aloy. I feel like she could rock it either way.
100%. Yeah, I think when I asked this question to myself, that was the first person I thought of. But again, it was one of those things of getting hung up on, okay, she's redhead, and again, in Game of Thrones, she looks so much like Aloy, and even, you know, Barrett able to pull up the photo immediately of her using a bow and arrow. And so I where my mind went when I cleared it and wandered was back to another character or another actress who just played a redhead in The Queen's Gambit, Anya Taylor-Joy, right? I know she's going around right now for a bunch of Spider-Man, Black Cat kind of rumor things or whatever, but like I liked her so much in Queen's Gambit. I guess I like her in everything I've seen because I've seen her in the M. Night Shyamalan stuff too, right? And there are a couple other things, but like I think she could really be great here and bring an interesting, not only look to that character, but then also the chops to it of like what we're trying to do with Aloy, I think, to flesh her out more than she gets fleshed out in the games, if that makes sense, Bless.
Yeah. No, I can see that. And I really loved her in Queen's Gambit. I think she gave a really good performance. And I think I could for sure see her as Aloy. The choice I came up with, and I then coming up with it actually is putting it lightly, because like this is one that I was actually inspired by from the homie Mr. Badbit on Twitter, who does their PlayStation podcast. Barry, if you can pull it up, I have a link to the image. But Erin Kellyman from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and she was also in The Green Knight. She was the one, if you remember from Falcon, she played the leader of the Flag Smashers, the bad guys who like honestly weren't that well fleshed out in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Just as a reminder, you know, like all that
COVID
stuff was kind of like, rewritten and stuff like that because of COVID.
For sure. Yeah. But this isn't the Falcon podcast. But yeah, like I think I think she would do
lucky for this character. This isn't the Falcon podcast, but
yeah, exactly. I think for Aloy, I would like to see somebody who is like on the come up and somebody who might be younger, right? And I think for Erin Kellyman, who we've not seen in that many things, I think she fits the role well, right? Like she has the iconic red hair, right? And it's like long red curly hair, which I think gives like a cool signature look to it. But then also like somebody who's a person of color, I feel like would fit that role as well. Like that's one of the things in Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West that, not that it like throws me off a lot, but it is a thing that throws me off a bit for that character of Aloy in a game that I think has so much inspiration and influence from, you know, like a lot of Native American culture and like a lot of meldings of like different cultures around the world. Erin Kellyman is somebody who is mixed race, and I feel like that would work really well for who that character of Aloy is, especially interacting with like all these different people, all these different types of people from the different regions of the U.S. and maybe inevitably around the world, depending on where Horizon games go in the future. I feel like she would fit that role really well.
I brought up a picture of her. She's very briefly in Solo, a Star Wars story, and it's funny because it's like the character that they seem to have been setting up with her in that movie would just be Aloy in space. And so like
Space Loy.
Yeah, Space Loy, and yeah, I think she would be great for that specifically with Aloy.
I mean, is that not where that third game's gonna go? I feel like we're going to outer space.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, yeah, that's a great pick, Bless.
Before we move on to God of War, I want to get out two ones here from the thank you so much to everybody who wrote in on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Reese Hawk wrote in and said Karen Gillian is Aloy. That was another one I saw a bunch of course, Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy. Lots of love for Karen.
Also also Doctor Who though.
I don't believe she was Doctor Who.
No, she was one of the companions in Doctor Who.
Oh, so you're admitting you were wrong about who she was when you said
no,
she was
I didn't
Doctor
say
Who.
she was Doctor Who. I said also from Doctor
You
Who.
can run back the tape, everybody. You can run back the tape, everybody. What did he say?
He runs the tape.
Yeah, I run the fucking tape, Greg. I don't know what you want from me.
And then the other one I liked to hear was from Royce Butler, aka Rolls Royce 5, who said, "For Aloy, hear me out. ... Cast Ashley Birch. For Silence ... Cast Lance Reddick. Seriously, this casting would be top notch." I thought about it for my pick of putting not for Aloy, for Ashley. I had Ashley for a second as Gaia. And then I was like, she's too young. Like I wanted, again, this more motherly figure in terms of like what we're doing for Gaia. But like, it'd be interesting to see how they put Ashley in the show. She'll definitely have a cameo somewhere.
You think so? You think it'll be like a Nathan Drake situation where she's...
I don't think it'll be as on the nose as Nathan Drake's.
I remember something similar like this once.
Yeah, Jan, you didn't watch the Uncharted movie, right?
So yeah, no, I haven't watched it. I'm saving it. Y'all gonna get so mad. I'm saving it for when I finish the game. I don't want any more.
I'm very excited for you to see that movie in 2025.
It's gonna be a packed weekend, whatever it is that we finally like hit these credits. I think I'm just gonna have to pull the birthday card. I think my next birthday and just make my brother finish the game for my birthday. Even though that's not really how I want to spend my birthday. But like, if not, I'm not gonna I think I'm just gonna make everyone's hands bleed for this birthday. Like spoilers for my birthday, y'all. If you're listening, people in my apartment, get ready to game. Sackboy's gonna finish, like all these things. Like it's the chickens have come to roost. So if you want to avoid this fate, you could just slowly chip away at it, and then we won't have to do this because no one wants to do it. But we're all gonna do that on January 10th.
Ladies and gentlemen, we still have to cast a God of War movie, but we've been going quite a bit. So here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. I love MeUndies from head to toe, all over my body. If you don't believe me, of course, right now, I'm wearing the MeUndies shirt. You can tell by the little tag going on right there, right? I got the MeUndies lounge shorts going on. Of course, I got the undies, and then boom, MeUndies socks, baby. That's how we do out here at Kinda Funny. I love being soft head to toe in the micro-modal fabric. You already know all about that, but if you don't, let's face it, summer's sweaty, but your butt doesn't have to be. With MeUndies light and breathable micro-modal fabric, you can stay comfy and cool all summer long. They have super fun seasonal prints and tons of styles to choose from, but if you just like classic black, that's totally cool too. They got a bunch of just bold colors for you to go for. They have super fun seasonal prints, tons of styles, and sizes extra small to 4XL, so you can bring the beach to your butt without ever leaving your living room. MeUndies has a great offer for all of you first-time purchasers. You can get 15% off if you sign up for their free-to-join membership. You can apply that 50% off to their already discounted membership prices. To get 15% off your first order and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny. Tell them Tim Getty sent you. Shout out to Chime for sponsoring this episode. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early without direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is about more than just getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So What are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's CHIME.com/KFgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA. Members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. Shout out to Credit Karma for sponsoring this episode. Want a new credit card but not sure how to choose? You don't need to apply for the first offer that you see in the mail. Credit Karma can help you zero in on the right option for you and apply with more confidence. I love Credit Karma. I've been using it for years to check my credit profile, make sure everything is good and on the up and up. Credit Karma uses your credit profile to show you offers that are tailored to your financial situation. Credit Karma partners with a wide range of card issuers, so you can be sure that you're exploring all sorts of options. Best of all, Credit Karma uses your credit data to show you your chances of approval before you even apply, helping you apply with more confidence. Comparing cards on Credit Karma is 100% free and most importantly, will not affect your credit score. That is huge. Credit Karma, create your own karma. Ready to find the right card for you? Head to Credit Karma and check out your personalized mix of offers today. That's creditkarma.com or hit up the Credit Karma app to find the right card for you. That's creditkarma.com.
All right, we're back. Let's do God of War. All right. Again, 5 characters. Maybe we move a bit faster, but we've been having great conversations. I'm not trying to get in the way of them. I'm sure Blessing can pitch something out of PlayStation updates when we get down there if we really want to. But you ready, Blessing?
This is a big week for PlayStation.
I know it is. I know it is. When you said you want to do both
updates,
when you want to do both things, I was like, oh my God. All right, here we go. All right. Mimir, who I feel like I've been saying it wrong since 2019. 2018, I do all that. It just feels so weird to say it now for some reason.
Mimir.
Like I know the character. I love the character. I love that game.
We just have for 4 years.
Yeah, I guess. All right. So okay, we have a head on Kratos' belt. Janet Garcia, who do you want?
Andy Serkis, Supreme Leader Snoke.
Okay.
Is the skull that hangs there. But he's also had a lot of roles in, like, I guess, well, it's weird to think of, I don't know how to describe these, but, you know, like Star Wars or I guess nerdy roles. I don't know, right? Like, because obviously, like, all of it's fiction, so that's not the right indicator. But I think he's played that up a lot. And I think, you know, again, a little bit of bite to the character is definitely one I attribute to Mimir. And I think a lot of the roles that Andy Serkis has played, like, checks that box. And just look at it, just, you know, chop off the rest part, boom, fits perfully.
Perfect.
You know, you barely have to change a thing. You barely have to change the thing.
All right, good enough. Blessing, who you got?
And Nick Offerman. You know,
okay.
You want an older man that is bearded, that has that can tell stories and be funny. I feel like he fits all those things. If I'm being honest, I like Jada's pick more.
He might be too funny, Nick Offerman, but I like that you put Nick in there. I feel like that's not, like, I read that and I'm like, I could see that, but I do think he's, I don't know, a little
it's
too.
It's a different type
tough
of look
too
that
funny.
he has, you know.
For sure.
Mimir's funny too, is the thing. So I don't know. It could work.
But I do think, like, tonally, I would imagine that Mimir is a bit different from the game, right? Like, it's so hard for me to go one for one with, like, who that character is. And I think if you're gonna have Mimir similarly be this character that has a lot of personality and tell stories and is cracking jokes and all that stuff, you know, you got to find a character who's able to, or you got to find an actor who's able to take that, own that, and put it in their own voice and comedic tone. And I feel like Nick Offerman would be able to do that. I feel like the clips and the funnies you get out of Nick Offerman would be good for his own kind of Mimir. But yeah, it would be a different take on it for sure.
Okay, I like that. And see, what I appreciate about both of you is that you envisioned in your head their heads on the belt.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, stick with me, because mine's going to sound like out of this world wacky, but it will be a more dialed in version of it. But I said Mike Myers, like Shrek, Wayne's World. But I had no point thought in my head it would be Mike Myers' head. It would be a CG Mimir looking head and then the voice that goes with it. And so, like, not as over the top.
That makes more sense.
Scottish married an axe murderer thing, but a more dialed back version of that. Because I think he's such a great voice actor. And so to have him sit there and tell stories and, like, be that part, and, like, especially the way he'll be used in a show, right? He'll be comic relief. He's not going to be Kratos and Atreus sit on a boat and we get a 5-minute story from Mimir as we paddle, right? Like, it'll be peppered in a different way. I'm sure there will be stories and flashbacks and, you know, wipes and whatever that we go see whatever's going on. But, like, I don't mean Mike Myers over the top, you know, fucking Austin Powersing it, but I do think he could do this and it would be the comedic relief you need, but he could dial it in and not make it crazy.
And he still has the stuff too. I don't know if you guys have seen the Pentaveret on Netflix, but it's his newest show. It's him and Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele, and it's basically Keegan-Michael Key joins the Illuminati essentially, and like every other character in the Illuminati is played by Mike Myers, and it is him doing that same level of Austin Powers type humor of like being over the top, being dumb, and like it's a testament to his like range as a comedic actor to like play all these different roles and all of them like bring something different to it. Like he's still like really good.
Okay. I didn't know that. I like that one a lot. My dog Nick96 is watching live and says, what about Craig Ferguson? That's another good voice. I like Craig Ferguson's voice. I could see him doing that. However, let's move on to Freya. Blessing, who do you cast?
Emily Blunt from A Quiet Place.
Sure. I like this casting a lot.
I think she looks the part. I would believe it. You know, that's pretty much as far as I go, honestly. Like, I just could see her playing the part.
She's good, too.
She's a good explanation behind it. And she's a great actress as well, yeah. Loved her in A Quiet Place.
Trying to go back to that good place.
Good place.
Yeah, still drinking that big gulp. God, imagine if you still had a half of it. You know what I mean? If it was up a little bit more.
Yeah, man. Like, it would be halfway if I didn't spill so much of it in my car. But even still, I'm sure it's
a testament to how big the big gulp is.
Yeah, it keeps going.
You're still going, even though you like half of it.
For me, I went with Kate Beckinsale from Underworld and a million other movies, but like Underworld, right? Like Kate Beckinsale, I've always enjoyed as an actor. And then again, this is another one of like, who's a motherly character that you could see being in this world, I think, and like also playing it of like sweet to Kratos and Atreus. And then when everything goes down with Baldur, be like, you know, fucking furious and scary. I think Kate Beckinsale has that dichotomy that I'd be
really
looking for.
Looks
there.
the part too.
This is a really good. Yeah, this is a better photo than I linked you to originally. This is way better. I like this a lot. Yeah. Janet, who do you got?
Sarah Paulson. And again, I thought of like the mother angle, but also the Edge angle. So specifically, I thought of her from Ocean's 8, which I guess
Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, man. That was the show with her, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like many roles that you can like point to, but because she plays that kind of like that trope fits from her performance in Ocean's 8, which is why I thought of it. So yeah, that's my pick.
Okay. I would also just shout out Danielle Basutti, who does actually play her in the video game. She is also like she was in Parks and Rec, I think, for a little bit as well and stuff like that. Like she is like actual like coming up in Hollywood as well. I think that would be cool to like see her do that in a live action kind of setting as well. Also, I gotta run really quick, so I'm not gonna be able to pull up images for the next casting here for a minute. Sorry.
Baldur's up, and I think I feel like we know a lot of these people and what they look like. So I think you're all right. This is a good place for you to actually step off. Good job, Barrett. I'm proud of you. You timed that well.
You did good, Barrett.
He might have already been gone. I don't even know.
He'll never. Well, we'll never tell him to his face.
He'll have to watch it. He'll have to run the tape back. But Baldur, I went Christian Bale for this. I feel like Christian Bale just takes his shirt off. He's already Baldur. But also he's done a lot of work. He's done a lot of work with parts that require him to maybe like get his body a certain way. So I think he could definitely fit whatever look that they want to go for with Baldur. And I think he also has that bit of angle where as an actor, he can get a little bit crazy with it. And I think that's also very Baldur. So Christian Bale.
Agreed. That he'd be great at it, especially we saw like, you know, in the Thor trailer.
I just put Batman next to Christian Bale Batman.
You know who he is. Yeah. Well, yeah. Blessing, you put one name next to your next pick. Who is it?
I went Michael C. Hall from Dexter. I went with him because, you know, for Baldur, I was trying to think of somebody who could do like the redhead look. And Michael C. Hall, I forget if he's like naturally redhead or if he like just plays one of the TV show, but he can pull off that look. And then also like in Dexter, obviously he's playing a killer, and I think he can get real physical if he wanted to for that role. And he's somebody who's older, right? Like, you know, I feel like I could see him really embodying that role and getting crazy, because in Dexter he also has those moments where he is like he's super calm most of the time, but he does like he does get crazy, right? Because he is this like fucking crazy ass serial killer on edge the whole time. And I think a lot of that fits with who Baldur is. The only thing that gets messy with it, and maybe this is just part of God of War lore and Norse mythology, I was trying to reconcile like the age between Baldur and Freya, because Freya is Baldur's mom, but I guess in Norse mythology that might not matter that much because
it doesn't matter, right? Because in the game, they're all in the same age bracket or whatever. You know what I mean? The actors themselves. Like I did a very similar thing where I was like, oh, they didn't worry about it in the game. Why would I have to worry about it?
Yeah, and like Emily Blunt, I think is younger than Michael C. Hall, because Michael C. Hall is like 52 years old, I want to say. But yeah, like I don't think it matters that much in to that point. And I think I could see that pairing working pretty well in that regard.
For me, for Balder, I went with Walter Goggins. He's a character actor. You probably know him. Right now, he's in Righteous Gemstones. Brother Billy or Little Baby Billy.
Oh, shit,
you know what I mean? But
guy.
he's also a voice actor in Invincible. He's also he was in Sons of Anarchy. He's in Justified. Like he's a character actor in a million different things, and he's the only guy so far. He was the big announcement when they announced the Fallout show that he's in the Fallout show or whatever. Like he's another actor that I think can play the dichotomy of Balder. Like there's one of him with a beard that looks like I think really good, and also I think if you got him just yacked for it and you got him, out there working out, take off his shirt and be jacked as hell and have all these tattoos. Like he's scary. Even when he's being a nice character, Walter Goggins is scary. And I've interviewed the man, very nice in person, but like, that giant grin and like, he could just go off and I think he'd be awesome to be when he's fucking talking a little bit of shit with a smile. And then when he's really fucking mad with a smile, I think he'd be really good at it for Balder. But now we're into our two main leads, Atreus and Kratos. We'll start with Atreus. I'll kick it off. And I want to put in Ashtray from Euphoria, Javon Wana Walton. I was thinking, who's an up-and-coming young actor who's going to be able to give the broody nature of Atreus? And I immediately went to Ashtray from Euphoria, who I think, again, is like so fucking scary in that show. Like so weird and you don't understand. And then you get the backstory to it. And then everything else that happens in seasons 1 and 2 with him, like, he's fucking badass. And to see him running around with a bow and arrow, like fucking being Kratos' son, I think it'd be dope as hell.
I want to say I saw on TikTok or somewhere that he's a gymnast too. Like he does a lot he can do like a lot of stunt work. Not that Atreus is doing backflips and shit, but he does do shit like jump off of Kratos' like fucking chest and like pull out his bow and arrow in the air and kill people, right? Like he could implement some of that stuff, right? And he could maybe do some of his own stunts. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Excellent. No, actually, Janet, what'd you do?
I went with Finn Wolfhard, aka Mike Wheeler from Stranger Things. I will say he's getting a little bit.
Trevor from Ghostbusters Afterlife. All right, show some respect.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where put up that poll, Greg, and see how that goes. But I will say he's getting kind of a little bit on the older side because he's 19 now. But it's acting, and he already plays like a young role in Stranger Things. But I think, especially in Stranger Things, he captures that awkward skittishness while also having to take on something that is highly important and really challenging to do, which I feel like also leans into sort of the structure of God of War as well. Kind of kids being forced to grow up and take on a big deal role, but also kind of the kids sort of almost wanting that burden. So I feel like that fits that character really well, so that he'd pull off that role really well.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's one of those, I agree with you, he's getting old, but he also plays young all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, at what
he looks kind of younger too. So
just I think it also change the character around, right? Like it's not like it has to be the youngest version.
I do worry if like he typically I feel like at this point in his career is getting typecast a lot. He plays the same character over and over again.
Sure.
And I understand like the energy that he brings to those roles, like kind of fitting that Atreus stuff. That'd be interesting because like when Atreus is getting slightly older, I would want to see Atreus be like a little more less of how I see Finn Wolfhard.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Okay. Blessing. Who's your Atreus?
I'm going with Skylar Gartner, who plays both Jonah from Ozark, and then he plays young Daredevil from Daredevil.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I always forget about that too until recently I went back and watched Daredevil, and I was like, oh shit, it's the kid from Ozark. I believe he's like 18 now, which in Hollywood means that you can still play a fucking child if you wanted to.
Sure.
And so like he has that, right? Like in Ozark, he plays a kid he's a teenager, right? He has that rebellious attitude to him. He's a young up and coming. I feel is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I guess I would probably use that for him, right? He's up and coming, right? He's like he just finished off with Ozark because that's now done, and so he's probably either already working on new stuff or is in the market to work on new stuff. And yeah, like he's someone who I think would give Atreus vibes, like just based completely off of his performance in Ozark.
Yeah, his Jonah, yeah, for sure. Have you finished that season? Or have you finished the last season?
I finished the last season, right? And like he in the last couple of seasons, I think he's had that like attitude that you recall from Atreus in like the latter half of God of War when he starts to have that like teenage rebellion of like fuck you dad and those type vibes. He gives that in the later seasons of Ozark. What's this picture? Oh, this is him in Daredevil. God, he was so young.
I know, right?
He was tiny baby.
Yeah, and I want to see more stuff.
It's time for the big roll. Kratos. Janet, we'll begin with you.
Yeah. I'm glad you started with me because actually, Greg, I like your pick more than mine, but I'm going to go with Winston Duke from Black Panther. Again, I'm just thinking of someone who has like a strength to them, a presence, an energy that kind of can play that harsh edge that Kratos is very known for. It's really only in this game where we're kind of seeing, I think, more dynamics. And then I think when you bring the dynamics, absolutely, Winston can play that as well. Absolutely phenomenal in Black Panther. So, yeah.
See, I like your pick more than mine. I remember when
I
like
your pick more.
When God of War's TV show popped up, I remember talking about him, and I totally blanked on him for this one. For Kratos on this one, I cast Mike Coulter, Luke Cage from the Marvel shows on Netflix. Yeah. So I just fucking adore. Interviewed very nice. And it's that I think he could do it as well because I think an intimidating form, which is one of the big things for Kratos, a fucking booming voice, another thing for Kratos, and then the way he played Luke Cage in Luke Cage, right? Like I thought he would just like really pull it off. And even looking at him now, right? Like imagine him in the ashes of his wife and child seared to his skin, right? It'd be fucking terrifying.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's how I imagine everyone when I'm first getting a look at him, seared in the ashes of their wife and child. No, absolutely. Like I think that's such a good pick. And again, I think you do see elements of like that edge and softness even in Luke Cage. So I was like, yeah, freaking Luke Cage. That's great.
Blessing, you get the final one before we get a couple audience ones in. Who's your Kratos?
So I went with Adrian Holmes, who his latest work I believe has been the Bel Air TV show.
Oh.
I sent you a link, and you're already playing it. If you want to bring up actually, if you want to play this with sound, because this is one of the scenes where I was like, fuck, this guy knows how to play a father figure. Like
the thing where we get pinged and PSL.
I'd rather not play audio for this. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's fair. This is basically a scene where Will
put up a still image. Put up a still image. They're still gonna look for the video.
Yeah, you can probably put an end to this. There's also like an image I have of like just a random link of his headshot where just pure facial structure and like even the layout of his facial hair. He has that Kratos look to him, and in a similar way, just imagine the ashes of his dead family sprinkled on him. Like he is looking one for one like Kratos. He has that. I think that presence of like, oh man, this is somebody who, if he walks in the room, I'm gonna be intimidated, right? Like he just looks like that. He has that manly man fucking like stature that you want from a Kratos. And then he's had roles where he's playing that fatherly figure, and he's done like a lot of Hallmark stuff. Like usually. He is playing more. Usually, he's playing more of like a tender kind of human being.
When he's not covered in his family's ashes, he's having a romantic holiday.
Like usually, it's more like, oh, this man's daddy more than he's father. But I do think that he may be able to make that transition.
Get you an actor who can do both. Am I right now?
Yeah, get you an actor who can do both. And like in the case that you have those flashbacks to like Kratos before his family's ashes get fucking sprinkled on him, right? Like I think he has that look, right? Like he still has that fucking like big presence to him that I think would embody that role.
Guys, we did it. These are great picks.
I think these are really good.
Yeah, I think we killed it. The only thing that's
welcome, Netflix. They probably already did this, but anyway.
Was it Netflix? I think it's Amazon, right?
It's one's Netflix, one's Amazon.
We did Horizon.
Yeah, Horizon.
Horizon, Netflix, God of War's Amazon. Yeah.
But also the one thing with mine is that like it's really funny thinking about Adrian Holmes as the dad to Jonah from Ozark, and like like you gotta like mess around with that a little bit or just ignore it. But like I find that to be hilarious.
There were a lot of picks that came in. Like I said, Gerard Butler came up a lot. We read Ryan's. The other one that came up a lot comes from Thunderstruck. After some thought, and it might be an obvious / common pick, but I feel he has the presence you need to be Kratos, and that's Jason Momoa. Momoa could absolutely nail both Kratos' reserved nature as well as the unrelenting fury we saw in his early appearances in the God of War trilogy. And I think for me, it's so easy to think of who we know of Jason Momoa now.
Yeah.
This is fucking, and I mean this in the most positive Greg Miller way of all, this clown. Like, I love Jason Momoa. He's such a fun guy. He's a fun follow on Instagram. Aquaman movies are fun and stupid and whatever. And he Justice League, he rides a fucking parademon down and my man, you know what I mean? And all this shit. Sometimes forget that he started as Khal Drogo, right? And he was just like this intimidating, silent fucking badass. And like, you could see somewhere there the in between of the fun goofball Jason Momoa we know and the fucking super serious, quiet, scary ass Khal Drogo. There's Kratos in the middle there. We'll see. We'll see who they pick. For now, though, we'll see what's happening this week in PlayStation, Blessing.
So Greg, this has been a pretty big week in PlayStation, and we've been talking about it all week on different shows. But I've condensed a lot of it down in this show too. What does Sony's next 12 months look like? Because a lot of the news we've been getting has been regarding like plans for different game releases, different stuff popping off, right? Like what's going on in Summer Games Fest stuff. I want to start with Exhibit A, Greg Miller, which is God of War Ragnarok seems to be inching closer to a 2022 launch. I'm going to pull real quick from Ryan Dinsdale at IGN, who writes, God of War Ragnarok has received a rating in South Korea, suggesting that the game is on track for its 2022 release date. As spotted by Reset Era user Motiz, Ragnarok was rated as an 18 and over game by South Korea's Game Rating and Administration Committee. And a game being rated usually signifies that a relatively complete version has been presented and therefore isn't too far from release. This is an interesting one, right? Like this is a debate we've been going back and forth on for a while regarding, is God of War Ragnarok going to get delayed? And I feel like this is the most I've ever believed that we're going to get God of War Ragnarok in 2022.
Same.
Exactly. Right there with you. Yeah, I thought when this popped today, I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's been stacking up for a while. Of course, Bruno was out on Twitter from Sony Santa Monica saying in a response, no, it's coming this year. And we're all like, I don't say that, Bruno, but they've been saying that. They've been saying 2022. And the fact that it's rated means, yeah, it's really far along to the point that they're able to submit in some fashion. That does, to me, indicate, yeah, we're getting it this year.
Which brings me to the question of when are we going to get it, right? Right here from patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, my dog Nick96 from Massachusetts writes in and says, hey, PS I Love You crew, with word of Ragnarok getting rated in Korea, when do you think PlayStation will throw in their show for Summer Games Fest? Janet Garcia. Or Greg Miller.
When do I think they'll throw it?
I think there's like two parts to this.
I'm not even confident, that it will be thrown in, just because I don't know. PlayStation's presence around that whole kind of thing has been sparse. I mean, I think we'll see PlayStation there, but I don't know if it'll be in the way that like this kind of write-in's sort of describing. But I mean, I think we could totally, I would say, like, I don't think there's going to be a big standalone like PlayStation moment, but I think there will be integration in like whatever the kind of marquee show ends up being, similar to what we saw last year with, I think it was also Games Fest, right? Because did that happen last year? I'm like, it's all the time is folding in on itself.
Kickoff was last year.
I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. So the way we saw, kind of like that Elden Ring moment, I think this year's Elden Ring moment might be God of War's release date, because I struggle to think of what would be
I think so too.
The equivalent of that Elden Ring moment. And then what's good about the Elden Ring moment is you don't got to do a lot, but you get a lot of credit for it. Now, that's not hard to get those things. I don't want to disparage, again, the work that goes into the planning and the connection and setting that up, and Jeff locking that in as like kind of his exclusive moment. But I think you don't have to do a lot. I mean, they can kind of just show any level of footage and give the date, and the big conversation is going to be the date. The big W from PlayStation and from Jeff's showcase would be that date. And really all that data is, it's a piece of text on a screen, but that is a huge deal. That would be like the big talk of the show. And I think every show kind of needs that. I think he probably will be looking for that. And my question to y'all is, if you don't think that would happen, what would be something of that stature? Because I think he really like kind of needs that to really drive home this as a intriguing showcase. So that's my idea.
Yeah, Jeff knows he needs a megaton. But I think he works always so closely with Xbox, which gets weird with Xbox having their own showcase. But then you could do the whole like, hey, there's a TC. To get away from that and bring it back to the PlayStation and the God of War question, I would fucking love it if PlayStation did that. If Summer Game Fest on 2 weeks from today on Thursday kicks off or ends with, here's your first real look at God of War Ragnarok. Obviously, we're looking at God of War Ragnarok content right now, but your first real look at it, and it ends with the release date or whatever. What I get weird about is just PlayStation being PlayStation, where God of War is so big, and PlayStation wants to own their own beats. Would they want to share the stage with anybody? Would they want to share this week of announcements? Why not just sit on it? Because like, God of War is going to be the biggest title of the fall if it comes out this year, right? Or the holiday season or whatever you want to say in terms of like the coverage you're going to see on IGN GameSpot. Kind of funny, like with no Starfield or anything like that. Like God of War is running uncontested, right? And then it becomes a battle for, you assume, I'm getting ahead of myself, I know, but game of the year between it and Elden Ring. It's like, this is the competitor for Elden Ring. So it's like, there's already so much hype and so much love for this game that it would be phenomenal to see it at Game Fest and have it pop off like that. But does PlayStation want that? Jeff's giving them eyes, but like PlayStation doesn't need those eyes. They're going to get eyes no matter what.
See, I think I could see them doing it for the reason of God of War being the biggest thing there, right? Like if you have Summer Games Fest live happening and all these other showcases happening, even though this year seems to be a little bit more muted than previous years, I do think that you have the opportunity to really own the summer and in turn own the fall in terms of, hey, God of War Ragnarok was the biggest announcement that happened this summer in a summer of other announcements. And that means that this fall, God of War Ragnarok is going to be the biggest game that you need to pay attention to. And I think for PlayStation, if God of War Ragnarok is coming this fall, the question is, how do you show it off? And also, how do you show it off when you have maybe other things to show off? Because the rumor has been Last of Us Remake possibly coming this fall as well. And then also, what's happening with PSVR 2? Is that coming this fall? The prediction I made a few weeks ago was that we'd see God of War Ragnarok at Summer Games Fest live, and I think I'm still going to hold on to that, right? Like I don't think there's going to be a PlayStation event. There was in the original creation of this doc, there was a different PlayStation what do they call it? The icebreaker question from the audience that was, hey, like this is from, I believe it was Mara who wrote in with this. She was like, hey guys, do you guys think that looking in the last few years, right, the last 5 years, there's been a big September showcase from PlayStation, whereas within the last 5 years, there's only been 3 summer showcases from PlayStation. Do you really think there's going to be a summer showcase this summer? And my answer is no, right? Like I don't want to write it off completely. I think there's a chance that it happens, and I'll be very excited if it happens.
Tomorrow morning, morning about 8 a.m. There'll be a post on the PlayStation
you know
blog
what? You're welcome. It's our timing that wills it into existence. We know
it's a win-win for me,
like,
right?
Yes.
Like either I'm right or I get a PlayStation conference.
Yeah,
I don't think there's going to be a PlayStation conference.
That's literally how I look at it too. I was like, if I'm right, I'm right, and if I'm wrong, I get God of War. So
yeah,
it's
but like looking at history, I would think that history would tell us that no, there's not going to be a PlayStation presentation in the summer. You know, the last time they did it was for the release of the PS5, and there's not going to be a release of a PS5 this fall. What there might be. Oh, do you think there's gonna be a release of a PS5 this fall?
Well, you said might be, so I might have stepped on where you were about to go.
Well, I was gonna say it's PSVR 2, which I could see there being a PSVR 2 event. But I think if there's a PSVR 2 event, then you announce God of War somewhere else, and I think that somewhere else would be Summer Games Fest Live. Like, sure, they could do it on the blog, sure, they could just drop a random trailer, but I do think Summer Games Fest presents them an opportunity to really go big and go, all right, cool. No, let's own this. Like, let's partner with Jeff for a thing because Jeff's been good to us and we can be good to Jeff. But then also, like, let's really make this the finale of this big event that is now growing to be one of the biggest events of the summer in terms of video game announcements.
I mean, that's the whole. Like, sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, I imagine if they have this stuff a lot. I mean, I don't know how hot things come in. I feel like with any live production, any big event, stuff can come in really hot. So, like, I have no idea what is going to be revealed or anything. Obviously, I wouldn't be fake predicting things. But I feel like, too, this would be really good for PlayStation, even though they do want to kind of construct controlling their own messaging and being like, hey, if you want PlayStation news, you got to come to the blog. You got to come to our showcases. You got to come to our states of play. But I think it'd be such a good moment if they were to do it, because it'd be like, hey, I'm still involved, but kind of on my own terms. And guess what? When I step in, I'm the baddest shit here. Like, I think that would do so good for the brand. Not that, I know we've talked a lot about, the PS Plus kind of rollout and all these elements. Like, I think there's been a lot of negative conversation around PlayStation, and we can debate how warranted or not warranted it is based on whatever factoids floating around. But it hasn't really been a great time. Like, the energy's been kind of and I think hitting this would be so good if they had a date. They can, like, again, we already talked about controlling the fall. There's nothing else. It's uncontested. Like, just dropping in and having that little thing, even though, again, it's a big piece of news, but it could be a little piece of content, it'd blow everything out of the water. And it'd be such, like, a positive moment, I think, for the audience and the conversation around PlayStation. And sure, like, they're always going to have eyes, but E3 and E3-esque stuff, which Summer Game Fest is now occupying that space, it is so much bigger than any of those things because everyone covers it. Like, we're going to be covering it. IGN's going to cover it. GameSpot, the person that you know from your local store that has a podcast, guess what? They're recording an episode that day. Like, people that don't make content or that are breaking into making content or starting, everyone is doing it. Like, everyone's working at max capacity, and it's an energy that you don't get for anything else at that scale.
I think you make a good point about owning it, and it's about how much PlayStation wants to play, right? Because, when they backed out of E3 a while back now, years ago, right, and like stepped off of that, it was, they wanted to own these moments and shine it. But this could be an easy way for them to come out, do Ragnarok on Thursday, blow everybody's mind. It is coming out this year, and like not a deep dive, right? We're talking about a trailer. that has a release date or whatever. Yeah. And then, you overshadow, in theory, Xbox on Sunday, where they talk about a bunch of games that aren't coming out this year, that just got delayed. And then you have the time to drop the blog post and do it, if you want, state of play. That is just about the 45-minute walkthrough of all the systems in God of War and what you're doing. And then, are you doing something for PlayStation VR 2 this year? Are we getting Last of Us remake this year? There's a lot of questions still up for what PlayStation has up their sleeve, which is why I think not only is God of War Ragnarok coming, I think it's more imminent than a lot of we might think.
Yeah, this is where I want to bring in Exhibit B of what do the next 12 months look like for PlayStation, because here I have 2 more live service games from PlayStation are coming this fiscal year. This is Andy Robinson from VGC. PlayStation is set to release 2 live service games during its current fiscal year, which ends in March 2023. That's according to Sony Interactive Entertainment president Jim Ryan, who said during a business briefing on Thursday that the company currently had what it considered to be 1 live service game in MLB The Show 22. Quote, Destiny is not included in the 3 games slated in FY22. The 2 others are yet to be announced, says Jim Ryan. Now, this is interesting, and I want to double back for a second on the previous thing we were talking about, because I do think it's very interesting talking about, like, what is Sony's 2022, and this is going into early 2023 as well, right, with fiscal year. But, like, what do the next 12 months look like for PlayStation? Because at the start of this year, right, Sony's been killing it. We've gotten Horizon Forbidden West. We got Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection. I forgot when God of War came to PC, but I think that was January as well. Maybe that was a little bit earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we got that stuff regarding third party. We got Elden Ring, right? We've got Sifu, which was exclusive. We've been getting games on PlayStation a lot in this early year, and we're talking to about as well some slip ups that we've seen from PlayStation. The thing is that whenever we're talking about the slip ups, usually we're talking about stuff that we're noticing that the wide audience either doesn't notice or doesn't give a fuck about, right? Like when we get into the weeds about the games that might be missing from the premium catalog, or the weird upgrade stuff that goes on, and like the backtracking of that stuff that goes on with PlayStation and PS Plus and the different tiers, right? Like I feel like that is a conversation that is usually between us and our audience and the gamers that are really in tune into what is going on in PlayStation.
For sure.
But for the most part, like the audience doesn't the wide audience, the millions and millions of people that are buying PS5s and PS4s aren't as privy to that stuff as a lot of us here are. And with that, right, like I think for them, it's probably been a pretty great year for PlayStation. And going into the summer, right, if the summer is here's God of War, and it's announced it's in June, it's coming this fall, also Last of Us Remake, also 2 live service games. I feel like in the eyes of PlayStation and the heads there, they're probably like, yo, we've been killing it. We've been fucking rocking with it. And with that, right, like talking about the 2 live service games here, like what are those? Like, Greg, do you have any idea? Do you think that's Last of Us Factions?
I mean, I hope. I think that'd be rad. You know what I mean? But I think that's what's so interesting about, the way he talks about it and phrases it and says like, oh, we consider MLB The Show a live service game because of the, whatever they call their My Faction with the, packs of cards you get in the digital thing and blah, blah, blah. Like, and how they call it, this isn't Destiny. So, I mean, already you're talking about Destiny, then a baseball game, and then what you assume is a third person multiplayer game that's far different. Like, live service to them clearly can be anything. It's just about keeping you engaged and bringing you back, which I think is exciting.
I'm surprised if they're including MLB The Show in this. They're not including Gran Turismo, because that's a game that I would think is as much of a live service as MLB. I've not played either, so I could be way wrong about that, but I would think that both of them are ongoing to some extent.
Yeah, but I'm about to talk out my ass because
we're out our depth.
Gran Turismo either, right? Where it's just like, I don't know how. I know people were really mad at Gran Turismo and all this stuff, but I can't remember if it was because I know they were nickel and diming you, but are they dropping like? Is there a daily login to get a new pack of cars or whatever, some kind of shit like that, or is there just a story? It doesn't matter. But like,
does MLB have that stuff? Like, are there like dailies or like?
It's just like My Faction or FIFA Ultimate.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Like every sports game has that. You unpack the cards and stuff like that, and all that jazz. Like that's very much of like it's called Diamond Dynasty in MLB The Show. So
Diamond Dynasty, that's a great name for it.
It's fantastic.
I can't get mad at Diamond Dynasty.
I mean, it's whatever. It's not why I play MLB games. But so you're saying they're not considering that part of their.
No, they are. They're very much. They're saying that is one of their live service games.
I was wondering more about Gran Turismo. It's like, why do you consider MLB but not Gran Turismo? It might be that Gran Turismo doesn't have those hooks. I'm gonna text Michael Hyman and ask him.
Yeah.
Isn't he the other room?
I think it was Gran Turismo doesn't have that kind of stuff, but there still is like an in-game economy where you have to like earn money to unlock cars and stuff like that. And the economy in Gran Turismo when it launched was just like absolutely absurd and insane.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember people being real mad about that.
Yeah.
So what would the other one be, do we think? You know, if I think Factions is
two
definitely
more.
the obvious guess. Yeah, I feel like that's, I mean, at least as a guess. Like, I think it'd be weird to, I mean, we could just have fun and be like, what are two that aren't Factions? But I feel like that is primed to probably be what they're talking about here. But I don't know what the other one, or what would you want the other one to be?
I mean, I would hope it's a new IP or something different. I mean, also, I think, you know, we're so easy to jump to the big thing, right? But I always think about like when they did Guns Up and Kill Strain, right? When they were making smaller things out of Sony Santa Monica to try chasing the MOBA, try chasing a smaller always online. I forget what Guns Up is hooked.
You know what else too for live service? I feel like Dreams is kind of in a way occupies that space in terms of ongoing content and additional drops. They've had like a bunch of DLC and additional like
you're not
packs
paying
and
extra
things,
money
but
for it though. Like I don't think they view it in that way just because they're not making profit off of it in that way.
Right.
I do think though that like Haven Studios partnership was announced a while ago and they were acquired recently, and their thing is going to be a live service thing.
Maybe
that's this fiscal year.
That's
I mean,
the part
if
that
not that, then what? Like, is it going to be
Yes.
deviations thing? Like, is it going to be fire? I always get them mixed up. One of the fires, the fire walk fire sprite. One of them is a smaller one. Is it going to be one of their things? Like, I would think that maybe we're primed to get maybe one of those in the next 12 months.
Now, if you want to shit your pants with excitement, Lanky Dragoon in the chat says Helldivers 2 was in the NVIDIA leak last year. I could see that being made into a live service. Lanky Dragoon, fuck you for putting that in my head. Because if Helldivers 2 is coming out and they're making that into some kind of fun live servicey kind of thing, holy fucking shit.
That's a really good pull.
Take all my fucking money.
Because pretty much every other thing from that NVIDIA leak has come true.
Yeah.
And so that's good. That's a good call.
Speaking of,
let's talk more about 2020 or the next 12 months, I should say, for Sony. With Exhibit C, Steam listing suggests Returnal is coming to PC. Once again, this is Andy Robinson at VGC. A new listing on Steam's database appears to suggest that PS5 exclusive Returnal is coming to PC. SteamDB logged the presence of a new product in the database, which goes by the codename Oregon. One source shared footage with VGC appearing to show Returnal running on PC, which strongly suggests it's one of the next PlayStation console exclusives in line for port. And Greg Miller, I cannot wait for it because I have sitting. Oh, I forgot where I put it. My Steam Deck is in my room somewhere, and I'm gonna
probably underneath a goddamn big gulp.
It's next to my bed. It's charging right now.
Dude, Returnal on handheld, blessed.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I just bought GTA 4. Because it's on sale, and Tim Geddes reminded me of its existence, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I miss GTA 4. I kind of want to play it," so I bought it on Steam, and now it's down. It's probably finished downloading right now. And then also, before this, another reason why I was late to getting to McDonald's and then switching to 7-Eleven and then pouring. I digress. I was trying to connect Ubisoft Connect to my Steam Deck. I was like watching YouTube videos because I really wanted to play Roller Champions mobile handheld. Because spoiler alert, I've been into Roller Champions for the last few days, but I'll get there when I get there. But yeah, no, Returnal handheld is going to be a special thing.
I can't wait. That'd be dope. Can't wait to get my email. Also, Blessing, can you forward me your email so I can mark this email address? Every podcast, I ask you to do this. You say that every podcast, you haven't done it.
Have I not? Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it after this podcast. I want to bring in Exhibit D though, regarding Sony's next 12 months.
Why do we revere the D?
Why do we revere the big Exhibit D? It's because Sony expects to make $300 million from PC releases this year. This is from Eddie Macko at GameSpot. Sony has announced new sales numbers for its PC releases of formerly PlayStation exclusive console games, including Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, and God of War. Not only that, but Sony is predicting a huge upswing in revenue from PC releases in the next 12 months to $300 million, which suggests that the company will announce and release more PC games soon. What do you guys think is going to come to PC?
Sackboy. Oh. That was part of the NVIDIA leak.
Okay. Man, this leak had it all. I guess leaks aside, I feel like I'm struggling to remember because I feel like we predict this all the time for what would be next. Can you run through really quick what we know? Yeah, we currently have like Horizon, Days Gone, God of War, Spider-Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just start working backwards, right? What are the PlayStation exclusives that are out?
What are the big hits? And I think especially because again, the whole ethos is really just stuff coming in fairly late, but enough to drum up hype around things. I think Definitely Spider-Man, maybe even Spider-Man and Miles, because they have that next Spider-Man game coming out. Like I think even a dual release of both of those games, or a special bundle package, still
like
fits their that still fits their ethos of, we want you to be able to play this on PC, but not at the same time that you can play it on console. And also we want to remind you that if you want more of this, head over to our console. So I think that fits.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I think you work backwards from it and find it that way. And for games that have something else coming up.
What do they call the Spider-Man collection on PC?
All webbed up.
Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, all webbed up for Spider-Man.
I don't know. I wish it was really dumb, but it'd probably just be
Parker
normal.
Morales
PC edition.
collection.
Spider-Man Big Apple edition.
Parker PC. The P is for Parker.
Let's workshop it. We'll come back.
We'll come back. Next week's topic of the show. What do we call the Spider-Man collection on PC?
Exhibit E. Sony says PSVR 2.
Sorry.
Sony says PSVR 2 will have over 20 launch games. Again, this is Andy Robinson just having a field day today on VGC. That man was putting in work. The article reads like this. Sony has said it will have more than 20 games ready for the launch of PSVR 2. The launch games will cover both first-party and third-party titles, the corporation said during a business briefing on Thursday. Quote, right now, there is a considerable amount of money being spent on partnerships with independent and other third-party developers to secure a considerable pipeline of attractive VR content at the launch of PSVR 2, said SIA President Jim Ryan. I'm not gonna lie, I saw this story and I was like, good, it better. It better have more than 20 games on it. But yeah, this is good news, right?
Oh, it's great news. Yeah.
I'm wondering, okay, here's a question for y'all. How many of those do you think are just like ports, or is this like, did they get into that at all in the article on if this is just gonna be stuff that's available?
No, because this is all Jim Ryan doing that investor call. So it's like so top level stuff that they can't get into it.
Well, what do you guys think in terms of that? And like, are you expecting this 20 launch to be like kind of new, fresh stuff? Or like, to what degree would you want that to be stuff just carried over?
I think if you're Jim Ryan and you're in this presentation, I think it is new stuff that he's talking about. I don't think he's talking about like Beat Saber getting a port to PSVR 2. Not that wouldn't make money in the sense that he's talking about, because he's talking to investors, right? He's talking to people that are investing in the company. But I think when you say there's going to be 20 games at launch, at least 20 games at launch for PSVR 2, I would think that in reality there's going to be way more than that, and a lot of those will be ports, right? Like I'm expecting like, I don't know, 50 games, like 60 games. And a lot of those to be the game like Tetris Effect Connected and stuff that we've experienced before. I think the 20 games will be a mixture of, all right, here's 5 games.
Moss Book 2.
Yeah, here's Moss Book 2. Well,
you can't do Moss Book 2 because it's already out. Like,
yeah, that's already out.
Like,
yeah, but
I'm thinking more so like here's like 5 things from like here's 5 things from first party, and here's 15 things from third party, or stuff that's maybe come out on Oculus that's now coming out here, right? Or like Half-Life Alyx, I feel like would count as something.
Are we not? Is this assuming that it's just not going to launch fully backwards compatible with PSVR? Have they already said something about that? Of like,
they haven't talked about it. I would hope it's backwards compatible.
To believe it.
Like, refuse to believe that it is backwards compatible, or that it isn't.
I refuse to believe that it is backwards compatible until I see it with my 2 eyes.
How would you feel if it was?
And the camera's going to see it with your 2 eyes because the inside-out tracking.
Yeah. We talked about it before, Bless, and like the fact of the problem being of like the move wands and how games are set up and blah blah blah. How would you feel if there were versions of the games you already own, right? Mm-hmm. Where if it was the hey, you can get Moss Book 2 you already own on PlayStation 4. Here's the version of it, whatever. Earlier in the show, I told you guys I might randomly get a barbecue grill delivered. I believe that's happening. Goodbye.
Oh. It's grill time.
Bye, Greg.
He's grilling them up. We can like turn it into a new segment, like Greg Grills, and it's him just grilling things. That's
that was literally they did that in the past when we were back in the studio. Well, no, not cooking with Greg. They would literally just stream him being outside, like barbecue
on the roof.
Yeah.
The good old
days.
The good old days.
But to answer Greg's question, right? That's what I think will happen. I think instead of just pure backwards compatibility where everything is pick up and play and everything works, I do think that there will be a list of games, and there will be the most popular games on the platform that you care about anyway. The things like Beat Saber, things like Trover, things like Tetris, the games that have had versions of other VR platforms. I think those will get updates that allow them to work. I think they will be PSVR 2 versions, because like I think with the new tracking system, you can't just pick up and put those games into a new tracking mode. Like you have to do some sort of development development to make that stuff work. But the thing is, with the way PSVR 2 has tracking the new controllers and stuff, in the inside out tracking, other VR platforms have that. I wouldn't think it would be a crazy amount of work to go in, be like, cool, let's convert the control scheme to the way we have it working on these other platforms, and then just port it to PSVR 2, because the games are going to sell enough on PSVR 2. I think to make that worth doing for the all the VR games you care about, at least.
Yeah. But hearing this, outside of the idea of maybe versions of PSVR/PS4 games, now having like a PSVR 2 version. Other than that, like I do think 20 is a pretty exciting like number for a lineup, especially just because you think Barrett always on it, especially because it's a niche platform anyway. Like I don't necessarily need it to have the world's biggest library, but I want a strong opening out of the gate. And I want to feel like the experiences we do have on here are ones of quality. And I think at 20, it's a good blend between having a strong volume and also being small enough to do some really good curation. Like I would love to see this have basically the VR strength of like the PlayStation collection that came out when like the PS5 dropped. But obviously, in the thing that would be different is that some stuff would be new, like that Horizon game, like other elements of things that we don't know about.
I think the bigger question is how many exciting first-party games you have at launch for it, right? They announced Horizon, Call of the Mountain. I think you're gonna get maybe a few more, and I'm not saying they're gonna be Horizon level. I think Horizon might be the big killer first-party game for it, but I do think you could get, I don't know, like what if you are getting if everything goes right in my world, what if you get an Astro game? And even if it is like a 2-hour long, this is just Astro's Playroom for VR. Your Astrobot Rescue Mission 2 is coming later. Even if it's just that, right? I think that could be an exciting release. You have Team Asoli work on something. What are the Concrete Genie developers working on, right? Are they working on something VR? What is London Studio doing? You have so many studios that are either smaller studios or studios that can do something that's dedicated to VR because they've been doing something before that's already been dedicated to VR that maybe could have something prepared by the time PSVR 2 comes out. That I would think that you have at least multiple first-party stuff prepared, and then partnerships with other big publishers or other small indie devs, because there's a lot of indie VR stuff as well that comes through. I think you're going to have quite a few of those come through, and I think easily you can get 20 times, and this is me saying easily, not that it's easy to do business or development, but easily in terms of your PlayStation and you can plan shit out ahead of time, right? Like I think you're gonna have 20 new titles to the platform come through at launch.
I will
and then
say
more
though,
than that, including ports.
I've been enjoying all this like PSVR news that has been cropping up lately, because I have officially sunsetted my PSVR headset, which I have here if you're watching the video version, where I'm like, it's official. I will never play this again, at least not in the modern era. Like if I play this again, it'll be a weird moment like 10 years from now where I don't know, there's some game that I can only play on it. I don't know why I would boot it up and set it all up. But yeah, I put all the guts and the skull and the box and all that. That's like in a closet inside a box, and I just have what remains, which I still am so sad that we will continue to have wires. But now it's just decoration for my backdrop at this point. But I'll bring it out when we talk about this, because it's the only thing it's good for at this point.
When was the last time you played something on VR?
That's a good question. So on PSVR specifically, or VR? Yeah, oh gosh. Oh man, it might have been Astrobot, honestly, because I got into VR pretty late.
How long ago?
For PSVR. Oh, maybe like it was in this apartment, so it was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Like it wasn't that long ago.
That's fine. That's not unacceptable.
Yeah, because I got in pretty late. I think maybe even Moss, because I also like hit that up pretty late, but I didn't like end up finishing it because I'm like, I think I'd rather finish it on like Oculus Quest, and then I don't think I did that either. Like it was a whole thing. But yeah, I think that's the last thing I had played on it. But at the time when I was playing it, when I first got it, I got it very much for work when I was at PlayStation Lifestyle to like just cover more games for review. So I played a bunch of games on it. Like I played The Persistence on here. I played, if there was a VR review coming down the pipeline, I was like, I got it because I want to make back this $300. And guess what? Never made back the money that I invested on it, because, that's tough when the pay scale's not that great. But yeah, I also played like some random like indie VR stuff. So it was a fun experience with PSVR for sure, but I am very excited for PSVR 2, and then to really try to like commit to digging into it is what I'm looking forward to, because like I said, I came into VR late for PSVR. So by the time I got here, I was kind of like, well, this is kind of sunsetting already. So I'm ready for these 20 games. We're gonna have a fun episode when that drops.
Well, Janet, to round out this week in PlayStation, the next 12 months in Sony edition, Exhibit F we may have a Stray release date. This tweeted out this morning by Nibel at Nibelian on Twitter. Stray is apparently listed with a July 19th release date in the PlayStation backend. And so that's one to take with a grain of salt, but it is probably an indicator that, one, we're going to get Stray in July 19th. If not July 19th, probably soon, right? Because it's in that backend. And that's exciting, right? It was originally slated for early 2022. July's not that early, but, I'll take it. I want to play that Stray game. I think that game looks cool.
Bless.
Yeah, same.
We have an update. We have a couple of updates, actually. First off, the Lawrence Fishburne poll has ended. The people have voted Man of Steel versus Bat v Superman over Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, it was 55.1% over 44.9. I'm going to chalk that up to, even though this wasn't from Greg's account, we still have a lot of Greg fans out there who weirdly love those terrible movies. And then the other thing, we have Breaking Wario64 just tweeted this out from Deadline. Neil Blomkamp is eyed to direct the Gran Turismo movie.
What is happening?
Remember District 9? Remember that movie? District 9 was cool.
I do remember District 9. I actually really like District 9. This is fascinating because wait, was it a movie that we were originally talking about? I thought it was going to be a series.
I don't know anymore, man. I don't fucking know. I don't think Sony knows at this point.
Did we just assume that it was a series? What does a Gran Turismo movie look like?
I don't know.
It could be like Ford versus Ferrari, but not, because that was based on a true story. So I don't know is the answer.
I was thinking like, oh yeah, I could see it being some what do they call it? Like reality TV type, us hanging out with a lot of car people, because Polyphony Digital, they fucking love cars. Yeah, like
that would have been good.
That would have made sense, right, for a Gran Turismo thing, because they love cars over there at Polyphony. Like, they can't get enough of cars. And I could easily see a Gran Turismo thing being like a different episode is like a breakdown of a specific vehicle from a specific year, or like some car nerd shit like that. A Gran Turismo movie changes the whole conversation, because that's gonna have a plot and
Neil
a narrative.
Blomkamp
With Neil
directing
Blomkamp.
Also, gutted to realize that Gary has Stray in the Fantasy Critic Draft. So
Gary,
the next thing I looked at.
That's a big one right there.
I was like, do I have that one? I was like,
is it a big one?
I think it's going to be solidly bringing in points, but I think it could bring in a lot of points. I could see it hitting in the 80s. I don't know that it will.
I mean, that's the thing is, my expectation is that Stray, low 80s, right? 82, 80, because that for me is like, oh, that's a really cool looking indie game. I feel like really cool looking indie games are just low 80s games.
But I think it's going to live and die on, does it nail the platforming? Because I'm not going to lie, it looked a little, I'm not confident that it will nail the platforming. I'm very excited for Stray, but it looks a little, there's platforming there. It's like a puzzle platformer, essentially, adventure game. It's an adventure game with puzzle platforming elements.
My assumption is that it's going to be more puzzles.
That's like the vibe I got. I felt like it was going to be Daxter without the violence, without the action of shooting stuff. But that's like the vibe I got from the trailers. I don't know. People let us know what the vibe you're picking up on.
We'll probably learn at Summer Game Fest.
Plus, you remember Chappie?
Because you're jumping around and you're like in that little cart and stuff, and you're like, moving.
Chappie is the cartoon?
No, Chappie is this one of the Neil Blomkamp movies that he directed.
Was it about an animal?
Where it was like this robot bunny cop who becomes self-aware.
No, I don't remember Chappie.
I think I remember this.
Who's it's like those weird two DJ people who are kind of weird, who befriend him. They were big musicians back around this time too.
The director of District 9.
The director of District and Elysium, starring Matt Damon, where it was a metaphor for I'm
starting to remember seeing a trailer for this.
Immigration and stuff like that, and it was kind of bad. Chappie, man. I hope Chappie makes an appearance in Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo, the movie. I can't wait to see who they cast in Gran Turismo, the movie. But for now, let's talk about what's going down this week with PlayStation picks. The drop looks like this. This week we got Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown Top Gun Maverick Edition for the PS4. This is one that usually wouldn't include in the drop, except for the fact that they're dropping in the Top Gun Maverick Edition. And I saw Top Gun Maverick recently, and that is now one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. And so I'm definitely going to check out this Ace Combat game, that's coming Wednesday, May 25th. You also got Roller Champions out for PS4 Wednesday, May 25th. Sniper Elite 5 is coming out for PS5 and PS4 Thursday, May 26th. And then here's one for Greg Miller, as Greg Miller makes his return to the platform. You came back around on time. How's the grill?
Carry this fucking barbecue grill down a million steps. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you look like you're out of breath. You're about to be out of more breath because you came at the perfect time. This is one that I added partly for me, but mostly for you because this looks like a Greg Miller-ass game right here. It's called Arcade Spirits: The New Challengers. It's coming out for PS5 and PS4 on Friday, May 27th. The description reads like this. Arcade Spirits: The New Challengers is the follow-up to 2019's Arcade Spirits, a visual novel of love and pixels, in which you seek friendship and romance while working in an arcade. Now the tables are turned as you seek friendship and romance while playing in an arcade.
Barrett, can you show the trailer? I remember Arcade Spirits.
Yep.
The visual novel.
Is it one that you checked out?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I enjoyed this enough. I didn't play a lot of it, the first one.
Same. I played a couple hours, like 2 hours or something, maybe. This was actually semi deep cut. If you got the itch.io bundle for racial justice and equality that dropped around that year, this game was included in that. I'm like 99% sure of that.
Wait, this one or the original?
The original Arcade Spirits, because I had I did a series for a while where I kept doing like charity streams like every Tuesday, and I would play games from that bundle to like raise money for different BLM orgs. Sure. So I went through a lot of those games, and Arcade Spirits was one of them. I mean, it is a very, from the time I spent with it, a very solid, visual novel with, romance elements. And the big change here from that first one is the first one, it's about kind of working in the arcade. And this one is said to be more about playing the games in the arcade, which we're kind of seeing a bit on the video version with like sort of gameplay happening behind the kind of foreground of the two characters talking. So I'll be interested to see like to what degree is there interactivity in that, because I think for me, as someone that knows the kind of visual novel, walking sim story driven genre really well, like one of the common criticisms is people don't like that it's like not gamey enough. But I think genuinely, again, look at the different types of games that are here. Novel, Because here's the thing. I actually really do enjoy when people are bringing in different, when they have fun with the ways that you can create additional interactivity in a genre that is a little bit more passive. So I'll be interested to see like to what degree are they bringing in like this gameplay and like what's going to do to service the story. But yeah, this one also kind of snuck up on me. I didn't have it on my radar, and then I just saw earlier this week when I was looking at what's coming out that this was there as well. So
it entices me more that there's gameplay to it. There's more to do than just a visual novel, because that's really hard for not really hard, but sometimes really hard for me to get into because it's reading and I just fall asleep or whatever.
It's a lot of reading, and yeah, for sure. And in the first one, I do remember there being elements of like fixing machines and stuff, and that was kind of like a little bit of interactivity.
I do vaguely remember that too. Yeah. My concern here is like it's always so hard to make one great gameplay mechanic to then go and spread this out through. We're going to make a bunch of little mini games that are arcade games for you to play. Are those arcade games actually going to be fun to play, or are they just going to be like, oh, I got to do this to keep talking?
I'm worried about that too, because like I know, with you and I, Greg, on Button City, like I really liked the mini games in that game, and you like really didn't like them. So I'm like, I'm wondering what this is. But these also seem like they're going for a different style. Like the games seem more modern, while Button City was very much, harsh polygonal, old school energy to it. So yeah, we'll see.
It reminds me of playing No More Heroes 2, because that was a thing that they kind of did in that game as well, where you would go through, you would do the big action sequences, like the No More Heroes stuff that you probably recognize, and then when you'd come back, you would play these 8-bit mini games that would essentially be like your jobs that you're doing during the day, and a lot of those could be hit or miss. This I'm kind of excited for because it reminds me a bit of Boyfriend Dungeon in the gameplay aspect, where I did enjoy Boyfriend Dungeon for that. I liked doing the dungeon crawling stuff in that game, and then I also love the interactivity that you had between that, where you would go talk to your swords, kiss your swords, do whatever, and then go in the dungeon and then use them for combat. I feel like that really had a cool back and forth. It reminds me of Persona, right? In the way that you would do your social links, level up your relationships with characters, and then once you go in the dungeon, those relationships really helped you in terms of what the actual combat and all that stuff looked like. So it's what I'm curious about. One I might check out. Another one that I might check out, and this is one that's more for I think me and Barrett actually, is Cal the Kangaroo. That's coming to PS5 and PS4 on Friday, May 27th. Inspired by the golden age of 3D platformers, Cal the Kangaroo returns in a whole new adventure. Embark on an epic journey, master magical gloves, explore lush environments, and take Cal through his most grand tale yet.
Barrett, I learned recently it's actually KO, not Cow.
You fucking fake fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry I let you go through that saying cow very confidently for like the last couple minutes, but
how would I? It's KAO. How would I ever read that as KO?
Because knockout.
Yeah.
It's those classic puns. Though
Yeah,
I would have read it probably as I might have read it as both. I don't know.
Well, usually if you know somebody named Cal, that's short for Cowrie.
Right.
Right,
no, that's where my head went.
This is a miles per hour situation.
This was one that was at a GDC event that we went to, and it caught both of our eyes. I never got to go hands on with it, but definitely that what's it called? Like the kind of Jack and Dexter, but also Jack and Dexter, but also like kind of Crash vibes and all of that stuff kind of put into one. Yeah, it'll be interesting to check out. I never knew of KO back in the PS1 days, but apparently there's a few of those games back then. So this will be interesting to see if he can stand the test of bringing back the kind of 3D platformer kind of vibes.
Here's what I'll say: I tried it out. I went hands on with it at GDC. I didn't love how it felt to play. Yeah, like a lot of the movement and the combat and like collision and all that stuff felt a bit underdeveloped, and like I just didn't like the physics of it. Right, like,
it looks really cool, but that's the classic thing. It needs to have the feel, and the feel is really hard to get down.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that is the key thing with 3D platformers. I think it has the charm. I think it has the personality. KO the kangaroo seems cool. Reminds me of Spyro the Dragon a little bit. I think there's like a Spyro game where you turn into a kangaroo at some point, and maybe that's why I took a liking to it initially. Yeah, I think Spyro 3.
I feel like you could say anything there, and I like
nobody's gonna follow up on that one.
I have no way to fact check you on that. I don't know that I buy that, but I don't not buy it.
Have you played the third Spyro game?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I forget had a little bundle where it had like Ripto's Rage and like the other two.
There was a Spyro game where you turn into different characters, right?
I don't know. Someone said
Sheila.
Spyro 3.
Yeah, Spyro 3. You're the dragon.
Josh in the chat says Spyro 3.
I guess you don't turn into the kangaroo, but you like your control
shifts.
Just platinumed
it. Congratulations, Josh. Really going above and beyond here.
You get to play as Sheila the kangaroo for like some segments. Yeah.
So with this game, and I know you just had quick hands-on time, so how would you compare it to? There's a game you played like last year that was also in that like old school platformer vein that you ended up liking, and then you hated it by the end. You reviewed it on GG app. Now I'm playing like 20 questions, but like with myself.
Was it
but also with you.
Was it the
Alan Wonderland?
Yes. No, not that one. How does it compare to Tamarind or whatever?
Tamarind is I think it's a whole different story, right? Tamarind is one that's like a super indie game. Nobody had heard of Tamarind except for me, and the reason why I was interested in it is because it was very much a Jet Force Gemini successor. This seems like it's probably better than Tamarind. Like it seems like it has more going on in terms of like.
Now I'm like, is that an indictment on Tamarind? Or I shouldn't have opened this can of worms. I apologize.
Yeah, it's more of an indictment on Tamarind, because like Tamarind, I liked as a throwback nostalgic thing, but I hated in terms of gameplay. I think some of the visuals in Tamarind looked really great, but like aside from that, like it was also really messy in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, actually, now I think about it, apologies to the audience, because this is a very deep cut. This is like only people that followed Blessing on the GG app and remember
I don't think the Tamarind comparison is going to work for most people listening.
And then it's also like, let's use something no one knows to compare to something also no one knows. Yeah, I actually fucked up real bad even asking this question. I redact everything.
For the people that are some fucking nerds out there, Kale the kangaroo seems better than Tamarind.
Nailed it.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure 5 people will understand what that means. And then lastly, we have Pac-Man Museum Plus. That's coming out for PS4 on Friday, May 27th. What did you pick to play on PlayStation this week, Janet?
I went with Yakuza Like a Dragon. I finally started that. I almost forgot that I had started it. And I am playing on PlayStation. And I'm about 4 hours into it, which granted they're stream hours, so put a little asterisk on that. I finished chapter 1 and I'm a bit into chapter 2. I have officially gone broke trying to get a bird from a crane machine.
Nice.
So there's that element of it. And people were like, don't spend all your money on this. You're going to waste our money. This is a game, y'all. Like, that's the only time I can waste money and not have it, ruin my whole family. So yeah, I'm going to waste the money. But so far, I'm really liking it. It is my first Yakuza game, but I am really enjoying it for the drama and the story of it. So far, admittedly, the gameplay, like the turn-based combat, does feel a bit underbaked to me, but it's because I'm very early. So again, I don't want to actually comment on whether I like or dislike the combat because I'm so early that I haven't really seen the ways it's going to evolve yet. It clearly is very much like pretty rudimentary at this point. But I think the shining story definitely is the story, and it's very cutscene heavy, which does remind me of my Kojima times in my life. Also, seeing the trailer of this, I'm like, I'm going to do a lot of things with this game.
I mean, Gary put like 120 hours into this game, Janet.
It gets pretty bonk, and I can see why too. Like, I'm really starting to see why people end up going for the completionist route, because I do want to do everything. I think they do a good job though slow rolling it, where this early on in the game, only 4 hours in, I can't really do anything other than the main story at this point anyway, like, and maybe the arcade machines. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. If you are someone that likes story in games, I definitely recommend this so far. Again, I'm very early. I'll be updating you guys throughout, just because it has what I come to story games for, like good writing, you know, well fleshed out characters, and drama, capital D drama. The drama in this game is so good. And also, like, it has drama, but it also has trauma. So, like, you know, warning on that. Like, it's a lot of heavy stuff. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, this is an M for mature game. This is like, you know, I'm out here. People were like, I'm about to saw through this man's finger right now, just live and direct. And I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like, you know, like, there's like an opening scene. There's like a play. Like, someone gets like the shit beat out of them. And then we cut to something else. I was like, oh, this is like this, you know, this is HBO level shit over here. Not literally, but, you know, just kind of hamming it up there. But yeah, there's a lot of drama in it, and I'm really enjoying that element of it. I like the world building so far. And yeah, I'm excited to play more. So far, it has, I wouldn't want to say won me over, because again, I'm very early, but people warned me about the slow start. I feel good about everything happening, but like I said, the cutscenes are very long. And how long are the cutscenes? The cutscenes are so long that my controller is disconnected.
Sounds like a stand-up comic bit. How long are the cutscenes?
I'll tell you. No, but my controller legitimately disconnected while I was watching one of the cutscenes, because that's how long they are. But they're really good, so that's not a complaint, but it's just kind of a PSA. Yeah, I'll keep you all updated. I'll be playing it mostly every Saturday on stream over on my channel, twitch.tv/GameOnasis. I'll be uploading the VODs on YouTube. Minus like every now and then if I'm out and I can't stream that day, then, you know, I'll miss those days. But yeah, I think I'm in for a long haul on this one. Should be fun.
Hell yeah. Greg, what'd you pick to play?
Blessing, I was on the road, as you know, all last week up in Canada, the Great White North. And there were two things on my mind, two games that were on my mind. Number one, WWE 2K22. Cactus Jack dropped in the new DLC. So I knew I needed to get home to that. I was in a rush to get home to that. But the other thing I was aching for was an open world RPG, action RPG. I wanted to go out there. I was feeling like maybe I wanted to pick up a sword and I wanted to bash some things. And so I can't.
I like to back up.
No. What I was thinking was Horizon. What I'd come back to. Well, no, because Horizon I thought about, but I'm like, the melee is not good. Like, I'm going to be doing the arrows and the traps and stuff. And I don't want that. I want more visceral combat, right? And I was like, you know what I'll do is I'll come home and I'll pop on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I popped back into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I was like, immediately went to a mission. I was like, all right, like, I don't like the way they present the story. This isn't what I want. I stopped and I went back to WWE, or I went and took care of Ben. I forget what it was. And so last night it was, what am I going to play? What is the hot open world RPG everybody's playing where they go through and just fight monsters and do all these different things? And I was like, I know what it is. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. And so I turned back on. I shouldn't say back on, because it's been years or whatever. Because if you remember, I loved Kingdoms of Amalur. I talked about it all the fucking time at IGN, but way back in the day, right? An old Beyonds of it being my podcast game, and I would just sit there and level up and beat the shit out of things, and I had a great time. And then they made the re-release, but at the time when it finally dropped, there was too much going on. I played it for a little bit. I was like, all right, whatever. But I had to get back to whatever the fresh hotness was for review season. It's no longer review season. Even this wasn't even the most recent review season. This was a couple of review seasons ago, but it's now backlog season. Bless. Yes. So I jumped into Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning, a game I adored, and I was like, "How will it play here? How will it feel here?" I'm having so much fucking fun. Like, if you've never played Kingdoms of Amalur, first off, it was a PlayStation Plus game real recently, so you should have picked it up, Janet. But
oh, I know I didn't, but let me look it up.
The combat is so much fun. Period, and then the visuals of it, while as you look here, if you're watching, clearly dated, for me have this Fable-like feel to them, where it's almost like it doesn't feel dated. It feels like a stylistic choice to a degree. And the music's great. I think the voice acting, while, you know, it's hit or miss at times or whatever, is giving you this fantasy caricature world of it. The combat, as you're looking and what you're doing, it is RPG it is dated, it honestly feels more like an MMO RPG to me, where it is a lot of times of like, all right, cool, go kill all these antelopes and then bring me their things, and then I'll give you the next thing and you go do it. And I think all of that would weigh it down maybe if the combat wasn't so fun. Like I am anxious just to go out and fight mobs and do things. And I'm really paying attention to the story this time around. And I mean, this time around, based on from when I tried to boot up this remaster back in the, whatever, when I don't even remember, 2 years ago when it came out. Anyways, right now I'm having fun. I'm falling back in love with it, learning about the destinies, which, you can switch on the fly to your play style. You can switch your weapon on the fly to your play style. There's a big old skill tree to go through. There's all this stuff to go in and really make the character your own. And I'm doing that right now, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. Do you think you're going to stick through it?
I do. It's like anything else in our line of work, where I like last night I started it, really had a lot, or maybe 2 nights ago, whatever, had a lot of fun with it, played more of it, and then I went and did the PSN profile thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna look at the platinum. Like, what do I need to know? And one of them was like, oh, you should play it on hard, and I already started on normal. And there was that moment of like, do I want to restart? Because I'm only like 2 hours in or whatever. But I'm like, let's be honest, the quarry's right around the corner. Summer Game Fest is right around the corner. There's a million things that are going to come along to distract me. So I decided to like not even do the thing where I'm going to actually like for a second think about actually getting the platinum. And I've said I'm just going to play, and I'm just going to have a great time, and I'm going to keep going until that ends. But I started using my new what do you call them? Chakras? Is that right? The circular weapons that you throw around. Do you remember these things? You ever heard of these guys? Like, first off, my character looks badass right now, which I'm just fucking stoked about in general. But then, I finally switched over. And so I've been using daggers, and now I switched over, and I'm using the chakras or shock rams.
Oh,
whatever. These two circular things that you throw.
And chakras are like it's like
your spirit.
Like,
yeah. Right. I'm having a great time. I loved it after switching off daggers and stuff. How long will I stick with it? I don't know. I stick with it the first time I played it in like whatever 2012 for a long time, but it was just more background noise, whereas this time I feel like getting more of a cinematic experience out of it in terms of it being more of like a fantasy cartoon or whatever that I'm watching. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, you talking about redeemed it.
You didn't? See?
I don't think so, no.
You gotta all you had to do is click add to it's one button, Janet. And it's once a month. First Tuesday. But you talking about how like, oh, there's something there are games around the corner, right? Like it's hard to commit to finishing something. I'm just gonna play. That's the exact same way I'm treating Death Stranding, because I picked that up last week and started playing it on my Steam Deck. And like if people want to hear my deeper thoughts on it, definitely go check out the Gamescast. I think I'm gonna talk about it as I play it more, and probably I imagine within maybe the next couple of weeks, unless I get derailed, which is very likely to happen. I'm probably gonna see it through, probably get to the ending of it by next week or the week after, and then I'll talk about it more on the show. But I've been having a blast with Death Stranding in the same way, but I've also been like, oh shit, man, there's other games that are coming through that
they're gonna distract you eventually.
Yeah, distracted by. Like there's the Quarry, but then also there's out last night actually I was playing Apex followed by Fortnite with Ree and Danny because Ree and Danny have been getting super into Fortnite. And it's dangerous because like I then as we logged onto Fortnite, I then saw Yami was also playing Fortnite, and I was like, oh shit, she's playing with her friends, but that means that she might hop on. And then like afterwards, after I finished Fortnite with them, I texted Yami and I was like, hey, I saw you're on Fortnite. She was like, yeah, let's play. And I was like, hey, my friend Janet Garcia also wants to play some Fortnite. We might have a squad here. And so there might be a lot of Fortnite in my future. But the other thing that's been is starting to become, I should say, a big distraction for me is Roller Champions from Ubisoft.
Oh.
That just dropped yesterday. That is the free-to-play roller skating game. I've been playing it since Monday, actually. I got invited to their preview/review event for it. So I've had access to it, and I've been playing it quite a bit. And the more I've been playing it, the more I'm like, oh, I can see myself getting really addicted to it. For me, Roller Champions has been like a story of pros and cons. Pros in the way that a few days ago, Janet Garcia on a show asked me, hey, is this game the next Knockout City? And to which I was like, I'm not going to answer that until we get to PSW XOXO, because I want to talk about it for this segment. To that question, I have two answers. Yes, in terms of game feel. I think
if you say yes and no, I am going to be so mad.
Then no, if you want me to give you the straight answer, for now, no. Later, maybe yes. So in terms of game feel and in terms of the actual like flow of the game, I've been having such a blast playing this game. I think it feels really good to play. The rollerblading reminds me of playing like a Jet Set Radio combined with some of the arcadey feel of something like Knockout City in terms of the sports game. It has that. The rules are at first kind of complicated, but become very simple after your first game to understand. Basically, the way it works, right, is you have this circular rink that you're working your way around. If you work your way around the checkpoints, I think it's counterclockwise. If you work your way around once, the goal then opens up. If you throw your ball in that goal, you get a point. If you go around twice, the goal changes from 1 point to 3 points. If you get a goal, you get 3 points. If you go around 3 times, it then goes up to 5 points. You need 5 points to win a game, right? And so like it is this risk reward type game where it is like, cool, do you want to keep going or do you want to just bank these points now kind of thing? And it is you passing balls back and forth between you and your teammates, kind of like Knockout City in that regard. You having to communicate where the other teams are at. Again, it's 3v3, so you have 2 other people you're playing with. You have to communicate back and forth and go, all right, like, what's the plan here? Do you want to double back at the checkpoint and then play keep away? Do you want to just go for it? It has a lot of that stuff at play. And yesterday I was playing a lot with Mike and Andy, and I was having a blast. And it's actually a stark contrast to how I was enjoying it day one of playing during the preview event, because during the preview event I was playing with 2 other press people, right? And like they're fun and they're doing a great job, but it was that thing of playing with strangers and not necessarily wanting to like be like, hey, pass the ball. Hey, like you don't want to talk to people that way.
Pass
right?
the fucking ball, you idiot.
Pass the fucking ball. No, it's you want to be polite. You want to just make sure everybody's having a great time, and you want to make sure everybody's like experiencing the game at their own pace and getting their own thing out of it. And so like I was very much playing with them the way that I would play with people I just met, because they're people I just met, right? Whereas yesterday, as I was playing with Mike and Andy, immediately it was the thing of, all right, pass. All right, cool. No, I'm gonna follow up. I'm right behind you. Cool. Pass behind. Cool. Pass forward. And having that team dynamic to it, oh man, it uplifted the experience so much. And so that's one of my big things with the game, is that it's a game that I really only want to play with other people I know. I can't imagine logging on and playing this game with randos. I feel like so much is lost by doing that. I tried doing that yesterday and it was fine, right? Like it was fun for the first match because the randos were really good, but then the match afterwards, I matched with people that weren't as great and didn't pass as much and didn't have as good ball movement, and it just wasn't as fun. And I wished I had people that I could communicate with. So that's first and foremost. The other thing with the game, and this kind of comes back around to the cons of it. I think content-wise, it is lacking. I wish there was more in terms of modes. I wish there was more in terms of options. It seems like the one mode that is available right now is 3v3 quick match and then 3v3 ranked. There are 3 maps available right now. They're just variations of like different aesthetics, and I think like certain curvatures and bumps that are in the map I think might change a little bit too, but for the most part, it is the same exact mode that you're doing. And it is always 3v3. You're playing with other players. And after a while of doing that, like even after probably maybe 4 hours total of me playing this game, I'm like, man, I'm starting to get tired of it. Like, I think I look forward to playing it more with Mike and Andy and people that are going to be fun to play with. But I don't have that, oh man, I can see myself playing this for the long time feeling that I had with Knockout City or with Fall Guys and other similar games. And I don't think that is... I don't think that's a permanent issue, right? I think that they're treating this game as an ongoing game and they have a roadmap, and I have to imagine that they're going to be adding in a lot of new modes and new options as stuff goes, and maybe this is just a ground zero kind of thing, especially with it being free to play and trying to get its footing. But yeah, no, features wise and content wise, I do wish there was a lot more. And that extends to cosmetics as well. I think the cosmetics it is that typical Ubisoft thing where the cosmetics are just whack. I feel like Ubisoft needs to get it together with cosmetics, because I had it with Riders Republic. I've had it with Rainbow Six Extraction, right? Where I'm like, I go into the cosmetics menu and everything's overpriced, but then also I don't care about any of this shit. Like,
yeah,
it's like their methodology with cosmetics is make things more brighter and colorful. And I don't necessarily want that. I want shit to look cool. I want shit to show off to my friends. I want shit that references other shit, right? Like, you have these Ubisoft properties. Give me an Assassin's Creed cosmetic or give me a Far Cry cosmetic, right? Like, they don't really lean into any of that stuff. And I feel like it takes so much of the excitement out of even wanting to get cosmetics. And they deal that stuff out in such a slow pace, even if you're earning it without money. The first thing I earned was like hair, right? Like a white faux hawk, essentially. And like that was after maybe 4 matches of playing. And I'm like, I don't even want this thing. I don't even like this thing. And so the cosmetics have been a bummer for me. But, aside from that, I do think the game is really fun to play. It just has it just has content issues that I hope get ironed out over time.
When do you think the Splinter Cell crossover happens?
Oh man, I mean that has to be the first one, right? I feel like that's the automatic Ubisoft go-to. So I would imagine by month 6, once they start getting to the crossovers,
the next Ubisoft event that they do, right? We'll see the 3, and then it'll
the
go
Ubisoft
into
forward.
There you go.
Roller Champions, and we'll see Sam Fisher rolling around, throwing the ball.
The real one everybody's looking for though is Lanky Dragoon. He's in the chat right now at patreon.com/KindaFunny and says, when does the Janet Garcia Roller Champion skin drop? Yeah.
Okay, so I am so salty too that like I saw they had I don't know if it was like press or influencer or like combo, like a package rolling around because like Ben got it through MinMax of like a promotional package that included a freaking helmet that says Roller Champions on it. I was like, I want that so bad, but like I think through MinMax we just mostly do giveaways for that stuff for like extra lives, so I'm like, I'm not even gonna ask because like
we can pander to Ubisoft right now. Ubisoft, if you're watching, Janet Garcia and Blessing Adeoye Jr. would like the helmet.
Why do you want a helmet?
You're not a roller champion.
Sounds cool. I don't know. I like
just falls often, so he's like, I really just need that extra security. When I'm freaking dropping my big gulps left and right, I want the extra layer of protection. But yeah, this is like what an interesting time because when I first previewed this for IGN back in E3 2019, which I think was the first time they like showed the game off to press. Like I wasn't even skating at the time. So now I'm like, oh, it's like a whole different the connection I have here. But yeah, I'm going to check this game out on Friday for my stream. Maybe I'll try to like link up with some people on my Discord for it. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not the biggest multiplayer free-to-play person anyway. But one thing I did like the sort of, funnily enough, it ends up doing what FIFA does with their no rules kind of, or like house rules section where they do have one that matches just like that. Yeah, there's like a match that's just like this kind of description or this gameplay shtick where they have, it's kind of like King of the Hill. It might even be called King of the Hill, where the more time you spend in a certain box that auto generates on the pitch, the higher your goal count will be. And the one fun thing I do like about that in both FIFA and in Roller Champions, because I pulled my preview to remember, I'm like, what did I think of this freaking game when I played it like a million years ago? Is that you can easily come back or lose based on that fluctuation of scoring. And I think that aspect is really fun.
I had a game last night where me and it was with randoms, right? Me and my 2 randoms were dominating. We had gotten them down to 4-0 and we only needed 1 more goal to win. And the people we were playing against just had a great run where they got the ball, took it around 3 times. It was +5 on the goal, scored it, and they took the match. And I was just sitting there like, I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. But it is nice knowing that it's nice having the feeling of it's never over, right? Like you can always come back. And I think for a PvP game, that's an important thing to have.
I think too, one thing and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I played this a long time ago, so I don't know what's changed, but they still have like tackling in there, right?
Yeah.
One thing I like that aspect because I only played a little for a couple of minutes. It's so hard too, those preview events where it's like, hey, none of us have ever played this game before, and now get ready to play for capture, and everyone's going to see you play this game.
You're going to look terrible in every one of the comments. You're like, you are awful at the game.
Drew, and I'm like, well, like I don't know any of these people, and I don't know this game. So I'm just sitting here with strangers that like some of which I respect, that I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're going to see me be so bad at this freaking roller skate game. But I like that, like I was not very good at shooting for actually getting the goals, but so I just personally, when I played, I focused a lot more on the tackling and kind of the defensive. So I do like that they kind of allow for different roles to appear, or that you can kind of create your own like kind of niche for yourself in terms of how you approach.
Yeah, I like that too. It reminds me of Rocket League, because Rocket League doesn't have defined roles that you play, but naturally people are like, I'm gonna take goal, you play midfield, you go for goal, right? And like people kind of organize themselves that way. Roller Champions does have a similar thing, where it is. When I was playing during the preview event, there was one of us that was like, hey, I suck at aim, I'm just gonna tackle people, and you can do that, right? Like you can have your team, you can hold the ball, and your teammates can run.
That was secretly me.
Run deep.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, and I was the person
I
that
ain't doing shit.
Let me tell you, I didn't miss a shot.
This person doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
I was a sniper assassin in Roller Champions. That's like my specialty. I can aim like nobody's business, but I miss all my tackles. And so I'm like, yo, just give the ball to me. Let me shoot. I'm a shooter. Let me shoot. You run tackles. Janet, let's play.
Sure. I'm gonna play on Friday at like 3 to 7 if you're available.
I'll
play a different time as well, but I just I'm streaming it already, so it would be on stream. But like we can also do it outside of stream, and we still need to play Fortnite together.
We want to do those dual streams. You want to do Roller Champions followed by Fortnite?
Ooh, I could
Greg, I'm
maybe.
taking Friday off.
Let's.
Well, no, hold on a second. You're getting too crazy with it because me and Kevin are playing Fortnite on the KindaFunny stream. So come do that with us. Then we pass the baton to Janet. Janet, you come play with us too. Blessing and Janet come play Fortnite with me and Kevin. Then Janet, you start streaming on your end. We raid you, and then you go do whatever the hell you guys do.
What are the times for this?
11 to 2 is the usual KindaFunny stream.
Okay. So
you look at all that, and I'll remind everybody that this has been PS I Love You XOXO.
Yeah. Oh, go for it, Greg. We'll figure out on the post show.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got time. PS I Love You XOXO. Each and every week, we come to you to nerd about all things PlayStation. If you like that, you can head over to patreon.com/kindafunnygames to support us, to write in to be part of the show, to be watching live, just like Omega Buster was, like Lanky Dragoon was, like Cooper was. Of course, thank you for your support on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, where you can get it for free, or get it ad free. You can get it with the post show we're about to do, and you can get it for XCast and all the other shows too. If you have no bucks toss our way, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, podcast services around the globe each and every week. Remember, use the Epic Game Store code KindaFunny whenever you're making a purchase there to help us out and get us a few bucks. Remember to follow Janet on the millions of things she does, whether it's min-max, whether it's pen to pixels, whether it's one of the many writing gigs she has.
Yeah.
Janet's everywhere. Also, Blessing, congratulations on becoming the up, down, down champion in KFW.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had to go. I missed it live, so I ended up having to go to the VOD.
Sure. Janet, congratulations for beating the shit out of Rebecca Valentine from IGN.
I gotta rewatch that because people were tweeting about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a post show to do. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.